If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Hey, it's 10 a.m. and this is Utah's best sports radio.
Say my name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb.
You're damn right.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Just past 10 o'clock. If you've been on vacation or under a rock somewhere, that's totally fine. We forgive you. It's myself, Scott Garrard, alongside the coach, Tim LaComb, and we are on every day from 10 to 2. How you doing, Coach?
Awesome, man. I had a great weekend and, a lot of fun things.
Yeah?
Got to go to dinner with you and got to meet your wife. That was cool.
Yeah.
Had a good time up at El Matador in Bountiful.
Yes. Big thanks to Todd and the crew up there at El Matador, Todd and Cammie, the owners, and my son was our waiter.
It was awesome.
Did a tremendous job, and, it was fun. We had a lot of fun. Good food, too, huh?
And the cool part is we talk a lot to get together and to each other from 10 to 2, but there was not a lot of that.
No.
The wives were doing most of the chatting, which is, we looked at each other eating and like, this is good.
This is good.
This is exactly why you do stuff like this.
Yeah, because they were dialed in.
Dialed in.
Which was not a surprise, but always nice.
And then Sunday, we actually, it was a neat day in our family. Got blessed our twin granddaughters yesterday.
Twins, that's so cool.
And had a big gathering afterwards with a bunch of family. Those are always fun. And
do the old funeral potatoes or what?
No, we did actually. My wife did like a breakfast cowboy casserole.
Yeah, nice.
With hash browns and sausage and egg and, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was awesome. It was very, very good. I went for maybe even thirds.
Nice. Couple of rounds on that.
Little hot sauce. It was terrific. And then, and then watched, yesterday was Game 7 crazy.
I know.
A couple Game 7s in the NBA, the NHL. So got through those, and now I'm ready for another week.
By the way, Lloyd, our guy went 3 for 3 at the end of the show on Friday. I rolled out 3 games. There were 3 games that were 3-2s, and you said 2 of them would go to Game 7s, and 1 of them would close out. 3 for 3.
That's why you listen to this guy.
That's why you listen. Guy knows his stuff.
Well, I was awesome. I was watching it kind of transpire. I was like, yes, I like when good things happen to bad people.
I like when I look smart. And, you nailed that. But, yeah, great weekend outside of a hockey game.
Yeah, we're going to kind of – I thought we'd tread lightly.
It's tough, man. It's tough because I think people were so excited. They had so much fun on the ride, and you should. You should absolutely have enjoyed every second of that ride. And I got to imagine as a coach, too, it's kind of weird. As a broadcaster, it's weird for me. I can't imagine what it's like for coaches and players when you're on a ride and you've had a crazy season, you go into a conference tournaments, and then you go into the NCAA tournament. And people don't realize this about the NCAA tournament. Like, when you go, they roll out the red carpet. They've got the band playing your fight song. Like, they've got all this really cool stuff. And then when you lose, you're out. Like, get on that charter and GTFO.
Have you checked out of your rooms?
Yeah, get out. But, like, when you go and go and go and go, and then all of a sudden you hit that car hits that barrier at 60 miles an hour, and it just stops. That can't be easy.
Well, it's so funny. I heard you say that the other day when you were just Scotty and friends.
Yeah.
You were talking about how the season comes to an end, and it's exactly that. I mean, because you have to think about it as competitors. You're looking at not just the game you're playing, but you've got a whole crew that's doing recon on your next supposed opponent, right? And so you're so deep into what's going to happen after this game, and the last thing you're thinking is something's going to happen and we're going to lose. So you just don't think that way. All of your thought is forward and momentum. And like you said, that thing goes to zero, and you walk back into the locker room, and you have about 15 minutes as a coaching staff to process it together and then get in with your team and put some sort of bow on the season. And sometimes it's really hard.
Yeah.
But I would say for the Mammoth, Bear walking in there, he had to have been so happy and pleased with so many things this season. And as I listened across the nation, and I listened to broadcasts of other games this weekend, the Mammoth were brought up, and they were brought up in a really positive light. The way that they pushed the Knights, the way that they matched them physically, which I don't think a lot of people thought they could do. But when they come back to the same mistake game after game after game, at some point you have to tip your hat to the other team and say, these guys aren't doing this on purpose. There is a ton of pressure you're putting on them. Those hits are starting to, make guys look over their shoulder. And the bottom line is the Mammoth lost that game in a much more dramatic fashion, but similarly, tough, silly penalties, turnovers that led to goals. And, the Knights move on. They're a phenomenal team. I got a kick out of looking at the handshake line because there wasn't a lot of happy faces in that, but at the end of the day, Vegas and their coach talked so positively in the postgame about the Mammoth, the location, the fans, the whole energy around it. And, you look at their prospects, the guys they have coming up, the guys they have signed and are young for a long time. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
This team has a ton of cap space. They can go reinvent some pieces. And I just have so much confidence in the ownership group, first of all. But then, we've talked to Bill, but I've watched Bill work. I see, went through all the prospects they have in the pipeline, and there is a common theme. He likes certain guys that can really skate. He likes big guys. I mean, there's a 6'7" goalie sitting at Boston College right now that, is just waiting his time. But imagine 6'7" in the cage. So a lot of things to be excited about, but at the end of the day, it took some air out of the balloon.
It did. But let's get to it. Let's recap the season and the playoff series that was. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. As Timmy mentioned, the season has come to an end for the Utah Mammoth as they lose and get roughed up pretty good to the Vegas Golden Knights in game number 6. We were all hoping to see a game number 7, but it was not to be as Vegas came in and took control of the game early. Had a 2-0 lead. Our guy Yamamoto with a beautiful goal to make it 2-1. And all of a sudden it felt like, okay, these guys came to life. Like, we got some energy. And there was energy. But the Golden Knights able to sneak in another goal, make it 3-1. And that really took the air out of the arena. They added another one and then an empty netter. And the final was 5-1. Utah loses that game. And you said it. You nailed it right on the head. That all the little mistakes, all the little things that the Utah Mammoth were putting duct tape on or kind of putting the finger and kind of plugging the dam as much as they could, they just ran out of gas in that game. Like, they just couldn't keep overcoming the same mistakes over and over and over again. And Vegas is the veteran team. Vegas, they've been there. Their experience showed, and they're like, okay, they let us off the hook in Game 5. We can't do that. We got to close out this thing. And you can tell that was an experienced team that knew how to take care of business, and they did that. They flexed in Game 6.
You were there for you covered that game?
Yes.
Covered it?
I covered it, yeah.
And you did cover it.
Yeah.
But was there a major difference? Obviously, Game 3 was so raucous, right? But this one, Vegas kind of, did they take the air out of the building?
They did. In pregame, it felt just as crazy as it did in Game 3. Like, the place was absolutely electric. And through that first period, everybody was just ready to explode. That place was just, it was like that bomb that everybody's just waiting for somebody to hit the button and it just couldn't ignite. And then as the game went on, it got a little bit just sluggish and a little bit more sluggish. And everybody's like, come on, do something. Let's go. And that Yamamoto thing brought everybody. I mean, it was right there. And it's like, all right, 1-goal game. We still got 15, 16 minutes left here in the third period. Place was absolutely electric. And then as soon as that third goal went in for Vegas, then everybody realized, yeah, it wasn't going to happen. And, the fun thing is, because I wanted to be part of the postgame show with Jay, and I wanted to do it from home. So midway through the third period, I'm leaving. And so I'm running out to my car, and the watch party outside the arena was still packed. And it was still a ton of people out there. And I can't imagine what that was like throughout the course of the game or even before the game. I mean, the community support for this thing was just through the roof. And Cole Bagley and other members of our staff were at the locker room cleanout yesterday. And Logan Cooley, I thought, had a great line kind of summing up this season, but also knowing that, that was fun. We did some good things, but now it's time to get greedy.
We all want to get to the playoffs. That was our goal. And, I think the focus kind of switches to, now we're winning in the playoffs. I think everyone got that taste of playoff hockey. And the biggest thing for me is, that was so much fun playing in those moments and in those games. It makes me want to, continue to keep playing playoff hockey.
So you get a taste of it. It's like, you guys beat Florida, get that first win in the NCAA tournament. Then the next year you're like, okay, it's time to stack some wins in this tournament.
And honestly, it's like I've compared, climbing the hill as a team to hiking. And, I used to hike Rock Canyon all the time in Provo. And one of my favorite things about it was almost like a video game because they have 6 bridges. And so every day you can hike to a certain bridge. You hit that bridge, you activate it, and then the next day you go to the next bridge. It's kind of how I would hike when I first started, just to try to get some stamina. But I think about that all the time in athletics. I mean, you don't necessarily have to figure out, you can get lucky on your first try and get all the way there, but it happens very rarely. Oftentimes, and you heard Cooley say it, part of it as a human is experience it and to understand that this is a different game.
Yeah.
We play a game all regular season. This game here really amps up. And, it's just when there's money on the table in anything. Or in this case, the Stanley Cup, to be able to engrave your name on that piece of history. And so for me, it's it's something we talked about all week, where young teams gain so much, and you hear it all the time. A team coming in with no playoff experience. Well, that's where you have to take a step back as a Mammoth fan right now, and we are seriously 2 years removed from them even being here. I'll never forget the day I was covering the Jazz. And I was down in my regular seat before the game. And, from time to time, Ryan would come out early, and he came out and was, had a ball, and he threw the ball up to me, and that indicates he wants to chat. So I brought the ball back down to the floor, and we walked out to midcourt, and he said, "I need you to keep a secret." And I said, "Okay." This is 2 years ago, about, April. And I said, "What's up?" He said, "We're going to finish this deal, but and I can't have you say anything about it. We're going to have hockey in this building next year. The NHL's coming here." And I'm like, "What are you, seriously?" He said, "Yeah, it hasn't been announced, but we've been doing all the due diligence, the discussion. We've got some serious work to do to get it ready." But, I fast forward from that time to now, and you're talking about the community that's now built. You walk outside that arena, and you see people that can't get in, but they want to be around. They got a gold mine. It was an awesome acquisition. It was great business. It was great for the community. And I do believe, in this league, this NHL, I do believe this ownership group, they'll find a way to make meaningful runs for that cup.
Oh, yeah.
Without question.
So to credit Bill Armstrong, first off, we'll have at some point, whether I know he's got a ton on his plate right now, whether it's tomorrow or later in the week, we'll have Bill Armstrong on for a couple more conversations to wrap up the season. But Bill has been insanely transparent about the steps that his team would take. And so our first year we'd had him on the air. It was obviously not last year, but the year before, the first season here in Salt Lake City. And the Mammoth would, they got out of the gate really fast, and they were winning games right and left. And so we talked to him like, "Hey, you know what? This is great. You guys are on track to being a playoff team, a deep run in the playoffs." He'd be like, hold on. We're taking steps. This isn't who we are. We know who we are, and we want to be right there fighting for a playoff spot. And we're thinking, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You're going to be easily a playoff team. Then the next week, they'd lose 4 or 5 in a row. And he'd come on. We're like, oh, the world's falling apart. He's like, we know who we are. This is who we are. We're going to have good spells. We're going to have bad spells. And we're going to be right there on the cusp of the playoffs. Essentially saying we're about a 500 team. And he told us all year long exactly who the team was. Whether it was wins or losses, he knew exactly who they were. And he was spot on. They were right on the outside looking into the playoffs. And they were so close but didn't quite make it. Next year, fast forward, start of the season, Bill, who are you this year? We're a playoff team. We know who we are. We are a playoff team. And sure enough, at some point they would play really well. At other points, they'd go backwards a bit. But the whole time, like, we're going to be in the playoffs. We know who we are. Boom, they're in the playoffs. Now, next year, he's going to say, I would assume, as he's a big believer in taking steps, hey, we're a team that's going to win a round or two in the playoffs. We're going to be a team that's going to be fighting for a conference title. He's probably not going to say Stanley Cup, but he's going to say, yeah, we're ready to win a series or two in the playoffs because we know who we are and we're going to take that next step. It's almost as if it's taken the surprise out of it because he's known all along exactly what's happening. Like he's giving you the answers to the test before the test is even being handed out. And because he's that dialed in with where his team is. And now they've got that playoff experience under their belt. Now they know what to expect when they go into the playoffs. They're not going to be surprised by any level of physicality. In fact, they'll be the ones delivering the physicality right out of the gate. There's no reason to think this team can't be hoisting up a Stanley Cup in the next 2 to 3 years.
And the crazy thing about what you say is you're 100% right. I'm a P1 back to the 90s,
yes,
right, with sports radio.
P1, B1.
So I heard all of these conversations, and I heard the trepidation when a bunch of losses would stack up, and he wasn't happy about it, but he understood the process. And I think that is so important, and I think we've got that here in Salt Lake with both the Mammoth on that side with Bill, and then, with Danny and Austin on the Jazz side. Like, that is such a huge piece because, look, of course, if they would have beat Vegas and gotten to the second round and, gone into a great series and found a way to win that, if they were able to push the limit this year, he'd be more than happy to accept that. But at the same time, I think you do have to understand who you are. Rick Majerus used to say that all the time. He used it in media. He'd use it with the team. But he'd say, when I go into a bar, I got to know which stool to sit on. If Cindy Crawford's at one end, I'm not going to go pick Cindy. She and I probably don't mesh. So you got to know who you are. You got to know where, what part of the bar can you sit at?
Yeah.
Which of those ladies can you engage conversation meaningfully?
Where's the 4s? Where's the 5s?
And you say it like Bill to a T knows his team. And more importantly, knows what he wants his team to look like in the future. And so you go, again, you look through, I looked at the top 15 prospects, and there's a common theme. And so, yeah, these guys continue to get better. These young guys gained the playoff experience. And so, I heard multiple guys say, I heard Weegar say it, we got to start talking about the Stanley Cup here.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we do from now. Like, we'll follow the instructions. But as a fan, I couldn't have been more drawn in. I couldn't have been more excited. That game took the air out of me the other night. I was sitting on the edge of the seat trying to cheer, and then Yamamoto, I thought he'd brought, some magic, and it wasn't even 2 minutes, right? And that thing was quelched. And again, I'll end where I started. It just makes you realize how good Vegas is because our boys gave a hell of an effort. They matched the physicality, got pounded in the first game and stepped it up from there. But Vegas, there were parts of that where they were talking to themselves. And I think that's the part of the experience that now the Mammoths just need to continue to build on.
Maybe they did want Edmonton after all.
Yeah.
But
maybe so.
I will say, I think the experience they got from playing against Vegas was much more valuable than it would have been against Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton may have been discouraging in some cases, right? Like the matchup was hard for the Mammoth. They've won one time.
Yeah, and even that was in overtime, and when Edmonton was down a couple of guys.
And the Curtin Jordan on skates.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the great, probably the best player playing.
By the way, I don't know if you heard his comments. Whew.
Yeah,
he's not a happy camper.
They don't have enough.
Said the organization as a whole has taken a step back.
Hey, Utah's a great place
Utah's
to
a
play.
great spot.
Come
we got
on,
salary cap.
We got room for you, Connor. Come on over. We got you. Hey, although we're going to start a campaign on this show, and look, Bill Armstrong is a very good friend, and we understand that he knows more about hockey. Frankly, has forgotten more about hockey than we'll ever know. But we're only going to make one plea: bring Yamamoto back. Bring our guy Kyler back.
We want to buy the jersey.
Yes, I want to buy that jersey. I want my kid rocking that jersey. And I'm not
So
even
you're wanting
jersey
like
guy.
a 5-year deal.
I want a 5-year contract. I want
Yeah, 10
Yamamoto right on this team all for the next 5 years. Just bring him back. And then as soon as he decides to stop playing hockey, I want him in the front office in some way, shape, or form. We need more Yamamotos in that organization.
Give me Yamamoto.
I want that guy.
He's 5'8", 170 nothing.
Yeah.
And
But
he knocks
he
people.
plays
And
like
he will-
he's 6'2", 205.
He will bust you in the mouth.
He's like you know what he is? He is the Lloyd Cole of hockey.
Yes.
I don't know about him.
I mean, a smaller guy, but brings the
Okay.
freaking
Brings
punch.
the heat. Yep. Hey, I know the season's over, but let's make a request on him.
Oh, I'd love to chat with him.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're on hockey, I found this crazy. Last night, that Game 7, which the Canadiens
Yeah.
were able to hold off. According to ESPN research, Montreal's shot total was the second lowest in a playoff game since shots on goal were first officially tracked, and the lowest in that time span for a winning team. The Maple Leafs posted just 6 shots in a 2000 series with the Devils. Toronto, however, lost that game and the series to New Jersey. So if you didn't see it last night, Montreal did win. The Mammoth won a game this series with a 12
Yeah.
12 shots. This was 9. 9 shots on goal, and they won.
9 shots. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And the Mammoth had 4 goals off those 12 shots.
Yes, they did. That night was magic.
Oh, that was so much
Because
fun.
they had 31 shots.
Yeah.
Vegas did
Yep.
to 12.
And for the most part, Utah had complete control of that game, too. All right, 10:26, just getting the show started. A little bit of movement around the NBA. You lose a playoff series, hey, you may even lose your job. We'll tell you about that next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, where is Huey Lewis on your...
I liked Huey. He was a novelty act to
Yes.
me. But to me, 15, 16 years old is my memories of him. He did hit, the MTV.
Yeah.
The MTV generation helped him because his videos were very good.
Oh, yeah. What was the album? Sport?
Sport.
Was a solid album.
Solid album. But again,
Cotton candy for the ears.
not a good driving to the amusement park songs. But I have a hard time, digging into them much more than just the ear candy.
When it comes on, you're like, all right. And then it's over, you're like, okay,
right.
that was good.
But I do like it. I mean, and obviously Back to the Future, there's a ton of ties to Back to the Future.
It's like a good fast food run, All right, that was good, and I can go a few months without having that again.
Yes. What's weird about Back to the Future is I've lived it.
Really?
Well, I'm just like it was then.
Been on a hoverboard lately?
No, I'm just saying I lived the time frame. I've lived where he skipped forward to.
Yeah.
Well, they could live past that from the time that 83, 84 to now. And what's crazy is there's so many things that were similar. We don't have hoverboards.
Or
but
flying cars.
We have hover thoughts,
Yes.
which is so dangerous. Anybody can just hover their thought into the universe at will, regardless of content.
We don't have the self-fitting Nikes.
We do not. I did see a pair of those. Guthrie, pitcher, in Major League Baseball, Jeremy Guthrie, former BYU pitcher, Stanford pitcher, was really good about when we'd bring guys on campus because he has this crazy cool shoe collection, and he's got some of those original ones that Nike made, like they're made as kind of prop shoe, but he has a pair.
But to live through 85 when the movie came out, and then what was the future? Was it 2020 or I can't remember the year that they came to.
I know we've surpassed
We've already,
it.
it's way in the rearview mirror.
So so I've lived back.
Hilldale's like a metropolis now.
Yeah.
But that's the other part. You go, I drive through my old neighborhoods and they don't necessarily look like that when it was run down, but yeah, it's weathered.
It does look a little like the Biff's future.
Correct.
Some of the neighborhoods I've lived in.
If I could have gotten a hold of the almanac.
I know, right? I know.
Think how rich we'd be.
Oh, man.
Would we still do a show?
Yeah, but we'd do it differently.
Well, we'd have to do a show because we'd charge, we'd be revenue all over the place.
Yeah. And, but we'd be a little bit more loose with our opinions. The stuff we talk about during the break might make it on the air a little bit more.
That's true.
Wasn't there something on there, like on the movie that said Cubs win, and it had the same year?
It did.
Yep. And it was
a little weird.
It wasn't the same year, but it was pretty close.
Okay.
The Simpsons, you want to talk about predicting the future.
Simpsons have done it too. Yep.
They've got an all-seeing eye
They've
somewhere.
got Trump
They
winning.
had Trump coming down the escalator wearing the exact same tie shirt and with suit.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
They're spot on. All right, Jamal Mosely out in Orlando. This caught your attention because here's a guy. People forget how bad Orlando was. Talking about tanking. Orlando just ran it right into the ground. Mosely comes in, and they start rebuilding. He's made the playoffs each of the last 3 seasons. Now, they did blow the 3-1 series lead, and people get crumpy when you blow a 3-1 series lead. The president, Jeff Weltman, just signed a contract extension, so that means he's not going anywhere. So somebody's got to fall on the sword, and apparently it is Mosely. Weltman said, "We're grateful to Jamal for all he's done for the Magic. We appreciate his leadership. This was a difficult decision, but we feel it's time for a new voice and a fresh perspective." Now, look, the one thing, they never really could get their offense clicking. They were always bottom 10 in offense, but boy, they could defend like crazy. And you make the playoffs 3 years in a row, and you build a team up from being just an absolute dumpster fire of a team, and you're gone. NBA, man. Now, the one thing about the NBA is once you get in, seems like you always have a job. It's just like shuffling the deck chairs a little bit, but they'll boot you pretty quick.
Yeah, they'll boot you. And I just looked at his track record. So he inherited a 21-win team from Steve Clifford. And in year 1, he won 22. So he got better by 1 game. They did not make the playoffs. In year 2, they won 34 games. So they jumped up 12 and, again, did not make the playoffs. Then their playoff run began. He won 47. And in that season, Orlando was the second-rated defense in the NBA. So he really stacked the deck defensively, and you can kind of see that through his run. Offensive numbers always in the high teens to 20s. The defensive rating is where they hung their hat. Year 4, they win 41 games, and their second-rated defense again. So that's something when you can get lucky maybe 1 year, but when you do that year after year, you know that the scheme's really good. But in each of those years, they lost in the first round. Lost to the Cavs in 7 in the first trip. They lost to the Celtics in 5. And then this year they won 45 games. So they won a few more games than last year, but they blow that 3-1 lead, and they lose to the Pistons in 7. I don't think this is probably a bad thing. I think Mosely probably got the opportunity. They gave him 2 years to get to the playoffs, and then they gave him 3 runs in the playoffs. He was definitely hurt by injury.
Yeah.
Throughout his whole time, they just never could get healthy. Felt like they got healthy and they played magic basketball, but what really abandoned them was the offense. And you saw even in that last game, Detroit held them under 100 points. So it's probably, I agree there, it's probably the right time. And there was a quote after the game, Banchero was asked about it. He said, the question was, do you have what it takes in this locker room to win in the playoffs? And he said, I want to say yes, but this is the 3rd straight time we haven't gotten out of the first round. So if you're going to go off the last 3 years, the answer is no. The nice answer is yes, but honestly speaking, I can't say we're good enough to be in the finals or the Eastern Finals because the last 3 years we've had the same result.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah. So something had to change, and I think you said it, the executive is actually the guy that hired Jamal.
Yeah.
And fired Clifford, so he's going to protect his butt. And so Mosely has to go because it's either him or, then you get some dissension in the locker room, I would assume. This shows the players, hey, we're trying to move this thing forward. And it makes a lot of sense that our guy who spent a lot of time in Florida, most recently he's been in Chicago, but Billy Donovan, this seems to have his name all over it.
I think that, and again, sometimes if you just kind of look at how things are playing out, you start to realize pretty quickly that there's more to this story. When you look at Billy Donovan turning down North Carolina and saying, the Bulls essentially revamping their whole front office to accommodate Billy Donovan. And then Billy Donovan, after a few weeks, decides, no, I'm done, and just shuts it down. You're like, you could have had North Carolina. Like, if you were so done with Chicago, why not take that North Carolina job? He knew something was brewing. And I got to imagine if he ends up getting this job, I think the wheels were in motion on this a little bit before people would realize.
Oh, they always are.
Yeah.
Those conversations, everybody likes to say that they take care of things in order, but in this day and age, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
And so if you do have some conversations and they're private, with representatives or with the coach, I would imagine those things happen. That happens all the time. But to your point, the great thing about this for Donovan is he's really struggled in Chicago to even put a team together that could make the playoffs and make a run. And so I think this team's actually set up. Orlando's set up on a tee.
Yeah.
They've got young, signed veterans, or guys that have been through the wars who have not been able to get through the first round the last 3 years. And it's a great time for a guy like him who's kind of been to the mountaintops, coached some really good teams. Have him come in there with a new voice and a new vision, a new scheme, give some guys a little bit more freedom. And that's probably more than anything what the front office is trying to accomplish.
Was he at Florida when you guys got the win over them in the tournament?
Remember, in fact, Dave told the story on air, Coach Rose, that
that's right.
After the game, Coach was sitting back there because the winning coach goes after the losing coach, and so he was sitting back waiting to go on, and Billy came off and actually was so gracious, and just said, "So happy for you." Knew it was his first win, so yeah, he was there when we played them, and then I think he was there both times, yeah, because the time we lost to him, Chandler Parsons was there as well. So it was he's done a great job as a coach all over the place. Was a great player at Providence, and I would assume that's where he'll end up.
By the way, Gordy Chiesa used to tell me this all the time. So Billy Donovan on that Providence team.
Billy the Kid, they called him.
Yeah, the coaching staff.
It was unbelievable.
So you had Rick Pitino as the head coach. Herb Sendek was on that staff. Gordy Chiesa was on that staff. Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy was on that staff. And then another guy was in the NBA front office for a while.
I'm trying to remember.
But, that staff was loaded.
Yeah,
and Billy Donovan's the point guard.
And he's the point guard. So, yeah, I would say that was a high basketball IQ because, seriously, you think about Pitino and, his great ability. He's got this great ability to lead guys however he does it, and I think it's more Majerus-esque than not. He challenges dudes and gets into them. But his X's and O's, his schemes, his presses, all the things he can do to you. But I've coached against Sendek, and the dude's a legend. He's a brilliant guy. Obviously, we know of the legend of Gordon Chiesa around here.
Yeah.
You just listen to one segment, him talk basketball.
Oh my.
He came up and did a segment with. He did a clinic with us at the University of Utah on ball screens. Just all the different ways that he's seen them defended, and so we went through. And it was like, seriously, I was taking notes so fast. He's brilliant. So that staff, yeah. So, but also that's where Donovan learned the game.
Yeah.
Played for his dad and then went to Rick, and so great minds all together there collectively, and. That's an interesting moment in time.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's a team that went on a deep run in the tournament, too. I don't know. Were they Final Four?
They did make the Final Four.
It was the 86 team.
86 Final Four.
Yeah. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, what you may have missed, we'll go back to the NBA playoffs. No team in the NBA has overcome an 0-3 deficit to win a series. And very few times have you seen a team overcome a 3-1 deficit. Well, guess what? It happened twice this weekend. We just mentioned Orlando giving up one. It happened to another team as well. Just how rare is it? How crazy is it? Well, we saw it twice, and we'll break them down. Coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard alongside the coach, Tim LaComb. I'm going to make a mistake here sooner or later because I did pre-half and post for so long with the late, great Tom Nasalki. I'm going to, at one point, because I always say Scott Garrard and the coach, and I always used to say Tom Nasalki, and it's just the old muscle memory's kicking in. So
you can call me Tom Nasalki anytime. That was a great man.
By the way, I love Tom.
He was awesome.
That one hit me hard when he passed because he was a lot of people thought he was just a grouchy old curmudgeon, and he kind of was. But, man, he had a heart of gold, and he taught me so much about the game of basketball. And, Tom was the best. I loved working with him.
So he was a coach when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember at the U, I went in one day to Green Street.
That's his baby.
Owner of that, right?
Yeah.
And so I actually went in there one day, and he was in there, and we had a cool conversation. I ran into him through the years, having worked for Rick. He like you say, you wouldn't look at him and say, this guy needs to be talked to. But when you start a conversation, it was like, this dude is cool. And, yeah, he was great. I always loved that, that I'm doing kind of the job that he was doing when I was listening as a kid.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm fired up for this because normally when we talk about Ethan, we're getting you on a well-worn path.
To financial security.
To financial security. Well, I got to imagine, though, a well-worn path with you and Alex Kirry, and you guys are back on it on KSL.
Can you believe this?
Alex, how are you, man?
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Has it been a, say, Bill, I can't see real well. Is that Bill Horse? Is that Bill Shakespeare over there?
Bill?
Yeah. So this is
I didn't even put that together.
Oh, yeah. Dad, I wish you would just shut your big yapper. Chris Farley drops, everybody. This is interesting to be number one, to be with Ethan again. It was the only way I would even think about walking away from any kind of sports radio stuff.
That's how it's been for me too. I mean, that's the only thing that made it attractive is getting that team back together.
So starting today?
Starting today. Yeah.
So there'll be a noon to 1 stream that we're going to do on a daily basis, just the stream, and then 1 to 3 will be down in Master Control at News Radio again. I was saying, too, they're like, it's been nice because it's been an apology tour from executives. We're so sorry we took you off. You know how they work. You know how they operate. They always love coming back and saying we were wrong. And that was okay. That's an okay thing.
You know what's crazy, though? This is going to weird you out. Do you realize that we started on the Nightside Project 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Basically this spring.
Yeah, it was 06.
Hey, I'm guilty. I've listened so much, those weird times I was driving around listening to you guys and laughing.
So
you guys do a terrific job.
I got mad. I just walked in and I felt like there was almost going to be a old Rick Bergeras situation going on. There was like, you were this close. You're talking about, anytime you're talking about working with Big Rick, I'm always like,
oh yeah, here it comes. I drop it every now and again.
I've been listening long enough to hear that. I was listening back when we didn't know who Big Rick was, and we should have put the freaking two together. But there we are. Yeah.
So I've listened to you guys because I would come home usually, and we were living in Tooele at the time, and I would drive home.
It's only 40 miles back.
Yeah,
sure it is.
Yeah, it was. Let's just say I got a lot of time listening to you guys, and. So I'd be coming home. I'd get off at about 7:30, and I'd be listening to you guys. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. I have 2 requests for you, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
Number 1, Logan or Provo has to come back.
Okay.
You know what? I don't hate that at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it's one of those things that like we try to explain it to people, and people are like, I don't think that's for us.
Yeah, it's hard to
and
explain.
then you're like, come on. And then, but once you do it,
Once you hear it, it's awesome.
So I don't know if I told you this. So what the premise of Logan or Provo is we give you a crime that's been committed in one of these places. And then you have to guess which city it was in. And Logan or Provo, you get very similar crimes, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's lots of stuff that people in Provo and Logan. Now, listen,
And it's focused around the campus.
yeah,
you know.
and there's lots of listen, murderings happen everywhere, but the problem is that the stories that sound very much like Provo, very much like Logan, they're very similar. We noticed.
Yeah.
At one point, BYU asked us to stop dipping into their police reports. For that. I said, well, that's not. I said that. Yes, I said that's not how it works. You guys, like, this is public stuff.
Yeah.
So you know what they did? They went into the Daily Universe. This was us. They took out the police blotter from the Daily Universe because they were like, we're not freaking letting these guys get our secrets.
That was my favorite part of the paper.
I know.
I used to love that.
They're like, a woman was wearing an outfit that was very offensive to a young man. And you're like, what are we talking about? You know where that's coming from. It's not Logan, at least.
A
But
suspicious man was wearing a hat in a building.
yeah, a man with facial hair tried to take a test. And like, those are that stuff was. But I always loved those types of things because we just screwed around a ton.
Yeah.
Now we got to be a little bit more buttoned up. But the other thing is, got to do this with Ethan.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be heavy politics. We can't do it.
No,
We're not doing it.
Yeah,
We're not doing it.
Not now.
We'll bring people together, right?
That's right.
That's
well,
the
look
thing.
at the name, KSL Brightside, right? We want this. It's for people who love news. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about current events, and we're all going to stay friends. And it's going to be great. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to get informed, and it'll be something that's going to uplift us.
All right, so number 1, Logan or Provo, if you can.
Okay.
And then number 2, you got to bring the carols back.
Christmas carols. I remember maybe a young Jake coming in the studio singing.
Yeah.
So my oldest came in studio, and then the next year, I think my middle son came with him, and my wife brought the whole family in.
So we took pictures with the Garrards, dude, in the studio because it was like, and Scotty's like, hey man, I know it's a weird request, but like I was all, absolutely, let's freaking do it. Let's get them in here, absolutely, because it was one of these things where we had so many. I can't tell you how many kids. I mean, 20 years ago too.
Yeah.
That's why you have. I mean, because how old's Jake now? 24 and a half.
24. Yeah.
So like that's the thing is like you have guys who, you know, in our 2015, 2016 kind of era when they're 10, 12 years old or whatever, and they were listening back then. That was the whole point of the show. We're going to get younger listeners. At some point, they were like, these guys are too wild for the rest of the KSL airwaves. But in the end, like, it did. We have people who still – we have a set of twins named after us. We have, like, all sorts of younger people grew up kind of listening to the show. Yeah. And then we got them as KSL News Radio listeners.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so amazing. And, Scotty, you should know, I'm still working that well-worn path. I'm doing both gigs. So.
Hey, man, you got to. You got to in this world. You got to be hungry and go after. That's what I've been doing for the last 6.
So so when
Tim is the epitome of that. Yes.
When my oldest, when Jake went and sang and was in the studio, and I came home, and I'm like, "How was it?" He's like, "It was awesome. I was on the radio. These guys are the coolest." I'm like, hey, you know what your dad does for a living, right? He's like, no, this was like a real radio station.
No. You know what's interesting though is that my kids do the same thing where they're like this, because my wife does too. Like I don't. It's not my. I don't know. But my guess is that Jenny's not like a P1 all the time.
No.
Our wives are out. Like my wife's like, oh, that's cute. What were you guys talking about? And I was like, oh, this thing. She's like, yeah, that's great. And then people will ask her when we're in public. They go, do you think this guy's funny or what? She's like, absolutely not.
No.
Like, and I don't listen either. I don't listen. And my kids do the same thing because they did this exact same thing where they go, did you listen to that? No, I didn't listen to it. But when they got around sports radio guys, then it was like way cooler.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? Like, whatever your dad's doing is not that interesting because they know they've seen you in your underwear at home, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. But someone else doing the exact same thing, very, very impressive.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
it's
that's
awesome.
What they think, so.
And I'm so fired up. So the Brightside,
KSL Brightside is what we're saying because I think there's something else out there floating around that's Brightside, and we're saying KSL in front of it because just so we can stay legal. You know
I love that.
Well,
yeah, we played
during the day
Brightside for you guys on the way in.
We wanted to, and then they said for sure that one the Killers will not be huge fans of. Yeah, trying to sell it or whatever.
No, I'm saying we just did a little blurb before
nice.
you came in here.
I know, but you know what? This is what I want to keep doing, and then we have people dipping in there going, "That's not you can't."
Look, you know how it is. The
no fun police. That's
the
only adjustment that I've had to make
HR
here.
was still on this guy's case today. He's already worked here before.
I spent all morning in HR. So here, you know how it works, right? So here are the rules. So here are the rules.
Pending.
Good.
They explain to you the rules. Here are the outline, and then you basically spend some time figuring out kind of really where things can happen.
Yeah,
and so, but it's it's amazing.
There's gonna be a lot of screwing around.
As you should, man. Have fun.
That's what we're looking forward to.
It's been an institution, and I'm really fired up for you guys to get that. Not only that audience that kind of grew up listening to it, now is in the workforce, and they can be like, all right, now I get to spend my middays with these dudes.
And then people who have no idea and have been like, I never knew about it, so I don't care. Like, the cult following is not important to me. We hope we can obviously grab those guys, and they go, oh, I don't hate listening to this news story because we've got a different spin on it. It's good.
So cult following is the right word.
So does it feel like you guys picked up right where you left off?
There's some of that. Like, it's not like Ethan and I mean, we've talked. We're close. I mean, we got done with the radio show. We stayed close for the entire time that we were, quote unquote, not doing the show anymore.
We were separated.
And so
you did talk. I mean, it wasn't.
This is not like a reunion.
Your people didn't have to get you together.
No. In fact, it just went like this. Do you think Ethan would be willing to come back? I go, the answer is a soft yes from him, and let me get a hold of him. And then we started talking. I mean, but again, half the time it was like you guys' show, I'd get to chat with Ethan out inside here. We were texting and talking all the time. So from a radio standpoint, it's really funny because you guys could appreciate this too, because he's getting on there. He goes, I don't know. I mean, I just don't. Did it sound okay? And I'm like, I know that feeling, but at the same time, like.
Well, Alex has stayed in the business. I'm having to come back to it. And also I'm in a really different place. You know how confident you are when you're young? And then as you get older, you learn all the things you don't know. And all the ways in which you actually are silly and dumb. And so I'm interested to see what this is like from a much more mature place, because I'm a lot older than I was.
Don't do it. Don't
not
mature,
too much.
man.
Not too mature though.
And but you benefit when you're younger. You benefit from knowing everything and being confident about your opinions and being confident about what you know. And I feel like time erodes that confidence. And I'm now at a place where I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see what it sounds like. I'm really hoping, though, that I can keep up with Alex.
We benefited a lot from the fact that we didn't know Jack squat when we were 24 and a half.
He's a great guy.
Good
I met
dude.
him in the hall.
But that's crazy to me. I was Jake's age when I started the show. Like, that's
no kidding.
That's what's wild.
That is crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
I was Jake's age then that I am now when we started Nightside, and that's how. And again, you get away with so much because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
And this is the tough part. Being on during the day now, people are going to hear us. That might be, you know what I mean? Like,
you'll be fine.
I don't want to get in trouble. We benefited a lot from. Did you hear that last night? People go, no, and we go, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't.
Or you come in the next day like, hey, somebody was mentioning you guys were talking about.
Don't know what you're saying.
Like, hey, podcasts are a thing.
I know. And then you go back on the tape. I know now is like, go back on the tape. Now you can't get away with anything. So
the stream starts 12 to 1.
12 to 1 every day. And then now the whole thing streams just like here. We'll just be down in Master Studio down there at KSL News Radio. But we'll do the noon to 1 is just over here in the back studio. And then we'll literally walk downstairs and then just do the on-air portion. And then they'll replay some at night. So we'll still have a little bit of a vibe of at night still, kind of where we grew up in radio. So
I'm pumped for you guys. This is great.
Thank you guys.
This is great. And Ethan, you're going to be terrific. I mean, just lean into it, dog.
Now, you're new into this room. Tim, how has it been with this guy or these guys?
Well, I'm trying to figure out kind of what you said, just not how to bring it down, man.
But here's the thing that's great. You're not new. There's no newness at all, and it's been great to have you guys pick up exactly where you guys need.
Well, I'm loving it. We went to dinner this weekend, and I told him, I hope I'm not bringing you down.
No, not one bit. Not one bit.
We're having a good time.
I am desperately trying to find a picture of you two and my kids.
You sent one to me at one point.
I know.
I've got to find it.
I can't seem to find it, but I'm going to dig that thing up.
Search really handsome guy.
Yeah. I swear, I feel like Jake was wearing glasses in the studio, like in my head. I mean, like sunglasses. Maybe he put on. Maybe there was a Christmas hat involved, and maybe there was because this was the Christmas Carol show.
Yep,
we have him coming to do. Christmas Carol.
I do a mean Carol of the Bells if you need me.
Now,
I thought you were going to say you do a mean Carol Makita.
No.
Like, that'd be a great impression.
On the religious front tonight.
I spent a few months in Africa with the Saints there. Now listen. Hey,
welcome to Zimbabwe.
Now listen, hold on. If Party Hounds don't show up for our first Festival of Carols, I'll be disappointed.
Okay, well, let's figure out a joint. We got to have a function or something. A party.
No, but that's what we do. We bring you guys. I think we do a live situation just in the studio. We do a couple of tunes. You guys round it out with like a Christmas tune, and then boom. And then we go,
Santa got run over by a reindeer.
That's what it is.
That's right.
Let's do it.
I love it, man. Good luck, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck.
It's the Brightside, not Brightside. It's KSL Brightside. Starting with the stream at 12 to 1, and then on air from 1 to 4. They're right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We all want to get to the playoffs. That was our goal, and I think the focus kind of switches to now we're winning in the playoffs. I think everyone got that taste of playoff hockey, and the biggest thing for me is that was so much fun playing in those moments and in those games. It makes me want to continue to keep playing playoff hockey.
Logan Cooley yesterday, locker room cleanouts, exit interviews as the Mammoth season comes to an end. Logan Cooley got a taste of that playoff hockey, wants some more of it. Joining us now, Greg Wyshynski, one of our favorites, NHL writer for ESPN, kind enough to hang out with us. Greg, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Wish the Mammoth had hung around a little bit longer to spend some quality time in Salt Lake City later in the playoffs, especially on my company's dime. But
yes.
But nonetheless, maybe next season.
Well, you know what? That ESPN card goes a little further in Salt Lake City than it does in Toronto or some of these other cities. So, when you look back on the 2-year run of the Mammoth, and I'm not asking you to blow smoke, but just how is it impressive what you've seen out of this organization over the last 2 years?
Oh, absolutely. Because here's the thing. I mean, obviously, they had some advantages baked into their existence that other teams did not. And by that, I mean the meticulous building of this franchise's pipeline of young talent that Bill Armstrong started when they were the Arizona Coyotes. And obviously, all of that carried over to their existence in Utah. And, whether it's Dylan Gunther or Logan Cooley or even having a mature Clayton Keller in the lineup, it positioned them to be good in the near term and certainly positioned them to be good, going forward in ways that, say, an expansion team don't have, And so it didn't shock me that they made the playoffs. I actually predicted that they would before the season. They seemed poised for it. But I've been really impressed with the patience that not only Bill Armstrong, but obviously also Ryan and Ashley Smith have shown to allow for the young players to kind of come up, make their mark, and then augment them with veterans rather than throwing all their money in a moonshot, which they could have easily done as well.
Greg, the league, I spent some time just watching different games this week, and, it was a part of nearly every broadcast that brought up, kind of the series, the Mammoth, and do you feel like across the league that the Mammoth have taken a step up in terms of what people expect of them going forward?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I thought Logan Cooley nailed it yesterday by saying that the expectation now is that they're going to be a playoff team. And then, the next step is to be a team that people expect to advance in the playoffs. And, as you said, if you've been watching the Stanley Cup playoffs this season, I think there's been one huge overriding theme, which is that some of the old guard either is exiting early or didn't even make the cut in the case of someone like the Florida Panthers, for example. And we're seeing all of these teams that are relatively inexperienced in the playoffs have to learn how to win. And so, Utah definitely had their moments to close out Vegas potentially. I saw John Marino say yesterday that, they have to learn to play a full 60-minute game instead of 50 minutes. I think that might have been one of their Achilles heels in that series. But whether it was Buffalo dispatching Boston, whether it was Montreal finding their way to a Game 7 win against the Lightning, over and over again in this league this year, we're seeing in the postseason young teams with extraordinarily high talent levels and high ceilings having to learn how to win series. And so if nothing else, this is going to be a real good, harsh education for the Mammoth on what it takes to close out an opponent that has the amount of Stanley Cup rings that the Vegas Golden Knights have.
So one thing I'll always do is I'll admit, I'm good to know what I don't know, and I'm willing to accept that. That's why I try to talk to people a lot smarter than me, like yourself. And I never played hockey. I never grew up around hockey, never really watched hockey. So it's been a learning experience for some of us here in the Salt Lake media to try to wrap our arms around it. And while I feel like I've got a good grasp of the game, now I'm starting to get to a point where I need to learn how to evaluate coaching. And when you look at Andre Tierney, I just want to get your perspective from the outside looking in. How would you grade him as a coach and he is a developer and also a strategist for this team?
First of all, never apologize for any of that. You can just fake it like most of us do.
I know, yeah.
But I think he did a pretty good job. I mean, as we talked about with the playoffs, I mean, I think another thing that kind of characterizes the current NHL is teams playing with tempo and playing with speed. And I think the way that he coached kind of pointed towards that trend and how you have to play in 2026 in order to thrive in this league. If I was going to knock him for anything, it might be two things, really. One, those mental lapses, those moments in which maybe a little bit of panic set in and they couldn't, close out games against Vegas, especially late. That can fall on the coach a little bit, I think. That's fair to say. And then the other thing is, from a personnel perspective, I wasn't really crazy with the apparent schism between him and JJ Peterka this season. I think, some of that obviously kind of bled into the playoffs and usage and things like that. So, I don't think overall there's a real issue with the players and with the Bear as far as their relationships go. But when you have a real high-profile player making that kind of money with that level of commitment from the organization, to maybe not play him in the right ways because he's not one of your guys was sort of a thing that stood out to me in the regular season and I think carried over into the postseason.
Last night I looked at the score and I thought it was actually the Rockies, but it was the Avalanche and the Wild in an absolutely insane game that was not played at Coors Field, but the ball was traveling like it. Did you watch that game and what were your thoughts about it?
I did watch that game. I also thought it was funny on my friends at TNT's panel, them calling it kind of a regrettable game because there was no discernible defense being played. But sometimes you need that in the playoffs. Sometimes you just need, hey, do they even have goalies playing in that game kind of scores to freshen things up because the scoring can be so tight. I think last night was just a really good example of why the Avalanche are the favorites to win the Cup. That was a game that was kind of getting away from them a little bit. Minnesota, despite being shorthanded without Joel Eriksson Ek and Jonas Brodin in their lineup, two guys that could really make a difference defensively, played extraordinarily well and really put the pressure on, rallied in the game. And then Colorado just kind of flexes that depth and that offensive talent that they have. And Cale Makar coming through with big goals. I mean, they're the big dog on the block for a reason right now. And it's because that roster has more options to have people play the hero than anybody else in the league. And provided their goaltending isn't turning into a pumpkin right now with the way that Wedgwood played last night, I think they're going to continue to be the favorite in this league.
Can Carolina give them some problems if they match up?
They can for two reasons, that was my Stanley Cup final before the season prediction, and I'm obviously sticking to it because I've been given no reason to believe otherwise. You know, the way that Carolina plays defensively, they are like an anaconda. Like they just start smothering you, and before you know it, you don't have any oxygen left in order to try to score goals. As long as Freddie Anderson, their goalie, is healthy and he is playing consistently, both things that have plagued them in the past in the playoffs, they could be a real challenge for Colorado because they're the kind of team that can D you up really well. Now, the LA Kings are that kind of team in the first round for Colorado, but the difference is, and here's my second point, I think this is the deepest offensive team that Rod Brendamore's had as a coach in Carolina, like top to bottom. Every line can score. And in fact, they've got two lines that you have to worry about offensively right now, the Sebastian Aho line and then that Logan Stankoven line with Jackson Blake and Taylor Hall. So that's more offense than Carolina's had in the past. And I think the reason why I expect them to get out of the East this year.
I'm not sure if your travels have taken you to Carolina, but have you experienced the beer skate yet?
I've not experienced the beer skate, nor have I experienced the beer saber. That's not to say that I wouldn't when I get down there. I will say that, you know, the Hurricanes reported that they had like less than 100 of those things left, I think, in the building by the end of the game. So they really hit on something, either the abject love of beer of the Carolina natives or just people wanting to drink out of a skate. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere at those games in Raleigh, and again, like we don't talk about the Hurricanes a lot as national media. They're not a very super exciting team. They're a team that's never gotten out of the Eastern Conference, you know, under Brind'Amour. So like there's reasons for it. But if there's one thing we do talk about, it's the atmosphere at those games. I mean, it is maybe the loudest arena outside of maybe Montreal in the league in the postseason. And, you know, they get there, they tailgate like it's a NASCAR event. It's a real heck of a time in Raleigh for those games. And I'd love to see those fans get a chance to party in the Cup final for once.
The Oilers exit after round one and don't have an opportunity to try to get to their third straight Stanley Cup. There's some things blowing around. Connor McDavid didn't sound super happy afterwards, and there's a little bit of a buzz that he could leave and go chase the Stanley Cup. What do you make of that?
I don't think it'll happen this postseason or this offseason. Like, he signed a 2-year extension last October. That spelled out the window to win for the Oilers, you know, to this season plus 2 more. I think the fact that he had a broken ankle tells you that he's not going to like hold that against the team and then pull the parachute after this season. I think he'll give it at least another run, and then we'll see where they are, because both he and Leon Draisaitl were very clear that they felt that the team took a huge step back this season. That's got to be a really scary thing if you're an Oilers fan, because the clock was already ticking on trying to win a cup with McDavid. If they believe that this team isn't nearly as good as the previous 2 seasons when they made the Cup Finals, then they've got some real big work to do. And that's a daunting thing to think about, how the sands are slipping through the hourglass as far as McDavid's time at Edmonton, and you've got to figure out a way to turn this thing around as quickly as possible.
I mean, it was interesting hearing that comment yesterday where he said, taking a step back, and it starts with, and it almost felt like he was going to go somewhere, and then he goes, with me, with Leon, and everybody else.
Of course.
Like at first, like I thought, like, oh, he's going to go, he's going to do this, and then you could tell, like, he's like brings it back a little bit, but it just feels like. I'm sure it's salvageable. Win salvages everything, but it doesn't feel like, let's just say there's some much needed couples therapy going on, because they may be on a collision course to an ugly divorce.
It's always the funniest thing when a guy who's like the last person you'd say is the problem says I'm the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that's what leaders do, but like there's a chance this cat's going to win MVP next month, and like. The idea that he's just, anyone's going to look at the Edmonton Oilers and being like, they'd really have a shot at a cup if it wasn't for that Connor McDavid is just sort of like nonsensical. But yeah, I mean, it is one of the more interesting stories in hockey right now. What would he'll end up doing? And on top of that too, I mean, listen, if they don't win next year, or even if they do win, like, what do the Oilers do? Do they trade him before that second postseason, before he can walk as a free agent? There's a ton of questions that are going to surround this guy, and Obviously, incredible for content.
You see, you don't see a lot of wins. I mean, like the Mammoth had a win in Game 4, or no, it was Game 3, where they scored 4 goals on 12 shots on goal. We're thinking, wow, that's a crazy number. Canadians end up winning with just 9 shots on goal. Just how rare is that?
Very rare. I think there were some stats last night about how it was maybe like the first time that's happened in a Game 7 or some such, as far as like going the entire second period without a shot on goal. But, you know, when you're in a situation like that, it's not about how you win, it's whether you win. And they had 2 kind of fluky goals, one off a Lightning player, then one that came off the end boards that Alex Newhook made a really nifty play on to kind of knock it out of the air behind Vasilevsky. Listen, you know, they won a series of 1-goal games. The entire series was decided by 1 goal in each game. And credit to them, they figured out a way to win. I think this Buffalo matchup is extremely intriguing to see if Buffalo can shut down the Canadiens' top scorers like the Lightning did, but also to see if the Canadiens can handle a team that I think is top to bottom deeper than Tampa and might be a little bit more physical as far as their top-end players go than when Tampa throws at you. So either way, it's exciting to get some new blood in the conference final. And both of these teams, I think, play a very entertaining style with some edge to it.
Greg, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for your time, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Greg Wyshynski, writer for ESPN, and great working with us in covering hockey. Does a tremendous job. All right. By the way, Chewbacca with your May the 4th.
Be with you.
Be with you.
I saw it. We all have sabers.
That was impressive. That's probably in my top 5 of the AI generated photos he's
of your
done.
favorites, really.
Yeah, I like that one.
Like that one? Okay.
And I'm actually glad Lloyd's not wearing the actual outfit.
Normally I do.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah. Well, usually he brings out the Princess Leia costume.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Who's over my? Is that
Get weird? It gets
Jar
weird.
Jar Binks?
Oh yeah, that's Jar Jar
over my right shoulder.
Yeah, Jar Jar is really popular on this show. A lot of people really
See
like
the front row. I'm surrounded by very strong people, but Jar Jar, he's a blabbering idiot.
Yeah.
Keep him away from me, please. Please, Chewbacca.
Are you a Star Wars guy at all?
I liked it as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my aunt took me right down the Century Theater, like 33rd, as a kid, and we saw it. Saw Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, all those. But I'm not one that like bought the set and played with them. And
yeah.
But you're not going to go to like a movie and go to watch it and be like, wow, this isn't good, and then try to ask for your money back.
No, I'd never ask for my money back.
Okay.
That's a me problem. If I made the choice, I have to be accountable at least for the choice.
So we were in Vegas. It was it was BYU and Utah in the Vegas Bowl. And it was one of the new Star Wars came out, and Christian Cox was with us. Christian, diehard Star Wars
Christian,
guy.
yeah, he's great.
Christian's the best. And so he's like, let's go. So Hans, myself, Christian, we go to the Star Wars movie. We're 5 minutes into it. Like the thing.
Wasn't it the Force Awakens one?
I can't remember. Yeah, it was one of those.
I haven't seen any of the new ones. So
when,
I'll tell you
when the wording scrolls down like it does before every Star Wars movie.
I've had it.
Midway through, he's like, I'm out.
Can't do it.
And he got up and left. And I'm like,
want my money back.
I'm like, dude, am I supposed to leave too? And Christian's like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, well, I got my popcorn,
so
I got my soda.
He just didn't approve of the way the letters came down.
Well, no, he's like, I don't think he wanted to be caught watching a Star Wars movie. I don't know. But,
but he loves going to Star Wars land and all
yeah,
that
he does
stuff.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Hobbitsville and
Chewbacca,
everything.
do you mind if I get a selfie?
A selfie.
You smell really bad, but here we go.
Oh, man, you imagine being in those costumes all day.
Working
in Florida or Southern California.
I don't think they're making enough money.
I don't either.
They're easily not.
I don't know how much do those guys make, do you think?
Not enough.
Probably not enough.
No.
They're probably just some high school kid. They're like, hey.
Hopefully they get their own. They don't have to share.
Oh, man. It's like, hey, you don't want the swing shift on that one.
Hey, who was the last one to wear Chewbacca?
It's like
Bobby? Oh, no.
Somebody got some Febreze. We got to clean that thing out. You got to air that sucker out.
Seriously, those things are disgusting. The smell.
Yeah.
I can't get near them. Hey, let's take the selfie, but you stand behind me about 6 feet.
Yeah. We'll crop you in.
I'll
How about
forgo
that?
the selfie. That's okay.
I don't need it. I don't need it that bad.
Good, the bad, the ugly. Coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do-or-die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is your good, it is your bad, it is your ugly. This is always good. By the way, coming up on Sunday's Mother's Day. Now, look, I know there's certain events that you take and put a high amount of priority on. Anniversary is always up there. Valentine's Day, certainly the birthday. Here's the thing, folks. You can't screw up Mother's Day. A lot of times Mother's Day kind of slips under the radar a little bit. And you're like, oh, the kids will make something out of macaroni and crepe paper. It'll be fine. No. You got to treat that just as much as you do birthdays, just as much as anniversaries, just as much as Valentine's Day. So go to Minky Couture. Coach and I are going to be there coming up on Thursday. From 10 to 2, so you'll be able to chat with Sandy and the rest of the crew. Shop now for 50% off any regular priced blanket. Use code ZONE50, or I suggest you just go to any Minky store and mention the Zone. They'll give you 50% off, because if you do it online, it probably will get there by Saturday, but I'm not sure. So you can guarantee yourself 50% off and the blanket of your choice by just going to any store. They're all up and down the Wasatch Front.
Yeah, the main thing at this point is you need to make sure you get it here.
Yes.
And so you got to be strategic. And the nice thing about Minky is there's stores all over the valley.
Yeah.
You can go get them. I'm excited to go up there. I was given a Minky for Christmas by my daughter, and I wrap up in it every single night. So very, very strong advocate of Minky in your life.
Whether it's January or July, the Minky's always comes through for you.
As a ceiling fan, if it gets cranking, you need a little protection.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's start with the good. I found this. Now, look, Lloyd and I, and now you as a Raiders fan, the one thing that brings us together is a collective hatred of the Kansas City Chiefs, and in particular, Patrick Mahomes. But how about this? Mahomes is expected to be a full participant in OTAs May 26th through 28th after coming off a torn ACL and LCL in his left knee. What is going on? How's he get, my guy
seems a little soon.
My guy broke an ankle and he can't participate in OTAs, and Bo Nix, and Mahomes is ready to go?
Well, he's been dealing with that ankle for all his
his whole life.
His whole life.
It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. That it seems really quick, but I mean, Jason Tatum came back this year and played. I don't know. There are a lot of advances being made, and guys are pushing it a little bit.
You want to rush him back? Fine.
Yeah,
I say bring him.
What you want to do.
That's a good thing. Let's bring him back and let's test it.
Let's test it.
You know what?
Let's hit him in spring. Let's hit him in OTAs.
I don't even think he needs a red jersey during practice.
I don't think so
either. Let's just go live.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if he's really got it.
By the way, I don't think I mentioned this. I was up at spring ball for Utah State, and they're going through their practices, and I'm looking. All of a sudden, I'm like, these quarterbacks are taking hits. Bronco did not have the red jersey on any quarterbacks.
They forget him, or was it?
No.
Okay.
You know what? I respect the hell out of that.
And I asked him afterwards, I'm like, is that something that you regularly do? He's like, no, we're evaluating these guys. How can I evaluate and name a starter if they're not going live and taking hits? I want to know how they're it makes perfect sense. It's just so so rare. Nobody does that.
Can't have defenders pulling up. Come on.
Yeah, but they were laying these dudes out.
He makes a great point, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they are going to hit you in a game.
I don't know about doing that with that offensive line. They did have a pretty rough offensive line.
It does remind me.
That's a little wild.
I mean, you do
not
need
wrong.
to know.
Not gonna lie, I respect it.
No buck centers.
Yeah. There's a lot of watch
Just
out.
let him go.
And he's off.
Wow, he got around that edge fast. Well, yeah, you were supposed to slow him down. I'm like, oh.
No, but
that was me. Oh.
He makes a great point, and Coach Rose used to say that I'd take him to see a guy, and the guy would maybe miss a couple shots early in the game, and then struggle to make a couple, and he'd lean over to me and say, the guy does have to make shots when I'm in the building, ultimately, because that will happen when he plays for us, and that was his way of saying, me, who in the hell have you got me?
Yeah, so I got to imagine that's got to be rough as a coach when you've been propping up this guy, you walk in, and he looks good in warm-ups, and then all of a sudden he's laying eggs out there.
You can't make one. But that was one of the best lines ever. He leaned over. I think it was probably the second or third time he'd seen him. And he said, he unfortunately does have to make shots. I know he's making them when you're in the building, but when I come, it's important for him to make them.
Because if he plays for us, I'm going to be at every one of his games.
So he will ultimately have to get past that barrier. And I understood. But it did make the rest of the game a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
please make one, dude.
Please make a play out there. All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
All right, I want to get your thoughts on this one from your basketball perspective and a little bit of you're a big Red Sox guy. Are you Celtics?
My son Sam's crazy
about him. I know he's
him.
crazy about him.
No, I'm when the Jazz came to Utah, that was kind of the end of it for me.
So Jaylen Brown hops on his Twitch account and starts going off on a live stream about how he thinks the officials had an agenda against him as the Celtics lose to the 76ers. We mentioned those 3-1 upsets. Well, that was another one where the Celtics blew a 3-1 lead, and now their season is done. Philadelphia, with Joel Embiid taking off and having a career resurgence, ends up moving on in that series. Jaylen Brown would go on to say, Joel Embiid is a great player, one of the best bigs in basketball history, but he flops. He knows it. This ain't breaking news. It is what it is. And then he was going in on this Twitch stream, and he was actually showing plays. He said, hey, look, if you're going to call push-offs, call that. Same move, same ref. Oh, it's nothing with Paul George does it, but when I do it, I get the whistle. Paul George does it, play on, right? But you're going to call me. Everybody does it. But had that been me, it would have been an offensive foul. And he goes on. It's clearly not just it might be an agenda. He says it's clearly an agenda. Look at the same move. Same referees. If I had to choose, if I had to say, there's referees that need to be investigated. We had 3 of them in the last 3 games. Brown was called. Now, this is interesting, too. Now, he's got some numbers behind him. Brown was called for 10 offensive fouls in that first round. 10. Twice as many as the next highest player. Castle had 5. Cada had 5. Karl Anthony Towns had 5. He had 10 offensive fouls in that game. So he's like, look, you're picking on me twice as much as anybody else in this series, and I'm just doing what everybody else is doing. Does he have a case?
Well, first of all, we know there is all sorts of issues with the officiating and the thoughts of officiating in the NBA. It's that way now. It was that way back when, Jordan pushed off on Russell or didn't push off or whatever to get that space. But it's always going to be a thing where I think this jumps the shark a little bit. And although he does have some pretty compelling numbers, 10 offensive fouls in a series is crazy. And I have not watched each and every clip, but I will say that it's very easy, particularly on your social media channel, to get on and make everything about you.
Yeah.
And I do know there's probably not necessarily a conspiracy against Jaylen, and that's where it loses me a little bit. I agree with him, though, that Embiid is a flopper.
Yes.
And egregious flopper to the tune of, like a Luka Doncic. He's going to fall on the floor. He's going to spend so much time on the floor, and he's a big man. And he doesn't need to go to the ground as much as he goes. But at the end of the day, these referees are human. They get caught up in all of it. And so I think there's probably half-truths in this on both sides. Could have some of those calls just gone against him because of momentum in the game? And officials get caught up in that. The one interesting thing, though, he said if, there were people to be investigated, there were 3 guys on the last games. I do believe there are rogue guys out there. And if guys like Sorsby's being impacted on the gambling side, these guys got phones too. And they have the ability to impact certain aspects of games. And I would say it's probably going on more than in the NBA and college.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be.
I mean, honestly, if you were going to invest in somebody to alter a game, I think you would go after officials just as much as you would players.
Because, you can sit a guy down quick.
Yeah.
And that's certainly the right guy sitting down quick is impactful. And there were times on the road where, I wondered back then even when it wasn't as prevalent, but you always wonder. And then you hear the story of Donaghy and all of the things that went on. Tim Donaghy with he actually was indicted. It's interesting. But Jalen has a good point. I don't think Jalen, I'm going to break it to you, it's not all about you, though. Yeah. And that's where he lost me a bit.
It's an agenda against him, not an agenda against the Celtics. No, it's agenda against him. Okay. I'm curious to know, all right, over, under, Lloyd, 50,000 on the fine. Jaylen Brown.
They'll hit him pretty hard.
He's going to, when it
I'm
says.
Say over. I think it'll be over.
I do too.
You think he'll go triple or 6 figures?
Maybe 75.
NBA's so inconsistent.
I know, that's the thing. You can't really figure him out.
No. I think it should be over.
The other thing with offensive fouls, guys, you do have to read the room with officials. And if you're putting an arm out to clear space and they call it on you, if they don't, it's like sitting on the side of the freeway and telling a cop, well, that guy over there, he's going fast. No, they made the call, right? Yeah. And so you've got to adjust your game maybe some too.
Well, and that's the thing. You can claim like, hey, I had 10 fouls against me, double. Okay, well, maybe you're fouling twice as much as everybody else.
Maybe you're out of control, bro.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You extend that arm, they're going to get you more often than not.
I'm going to do some research on that one, and we'll table it. I want to do a little film study on Jalen's comments.
Let's do it. All right, there's your bad. Let's get to the ugly.
And, of course, the ugly.
Maybe an ugly for Dodger fans. If you're Lloyd Cole, this should be on the good. Shohei Ohtani has gone hitless in 4 straight games. That has not happened in the last 4 years, which I think shows you how good that guy is to go hitless in 4 games, and that's the first time that's happened in 4 years. Dave Roberts said, even though the Dodgers won and beat St. Louis 4-1, that he believes that Shohei will come out of it at some point. He has high standards. We all do. I know he's incredibly frustrated, but you can't tell from his demeanor. He still looks like he's having fun out there. All right, well.
He's getting paid a lot of money.
I was going to say,
I'm like, that's the thing. Like,
he's getting paid like $20 million a pop fly.
Look,
it's all good. It doesn't really matter.
He's making a ton of money. He had his interpreter take the fall for the gambling, so that dude's in prison, and
life's good.
He got out of it scot-free.
He'll bounce back. A 4-game hitless streak. I mean, come on, he'll bounce back.
Can I add an ugly
too? It's a long
too?
season.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was something that popped out at me this weekend. The Reds tied an Major League Baseball record this weekend by walking 7 straight batters.
Oh, that's right.
Can you imagine that's a little league thing?
That
imagine
is little
sitting
league.
there for 7 straight batters and watching dudes advance. So that's ugly.
Don't miss games like that.
I will say the Reds, however, are off to a great start. And my guy, Ellie De La Cruz, at shortstop, I own a bunch of his rookie cards, so I'm hoping a continued trend upward for our
Let's
guy.
go.
You big card guy, Coach?
I have a huge card collection. You need to come over. In fact, I got a couple cards. Got a card for Brody.
Oh, yeah?
And I got a card for X-Man and Jackie Blue.
Jackie Blue.
There'll be pieces that we're going to want to hold on to.
He'll probably cut it up with scissors.
No.
No, it's in a protective plastic case.
Yeah, he'll cut that too.
He'll break that. I just wanted to see it, Dad. So anyway, remind me, I got cards for you guys, and we need to come over. You need to come over sometime because I got a Jackie Robinson 1955.
Ooh, well, is that the card we're getting?
No.
Oh,
that's good for the old retirement.
But it could be that. What I'm going to give your kids. I bought a bunch of these. Wembanyama's rookie card, but he scored 1,000 points, and they made a limited number, and so they're those.
Wow.
So it should increase in value.
I love that you're still doing that. I used to collect cards like crazy. You remember back when they used to have the little pieces of jersey? I remember I had one that had a Steve Young jersey.
Yeah, I've got all sorts of stuff. You come over. I'll give you some Raiders cards.
When we were doing the thing on air during COVID that
was the best.
When we were opening up like 1980s packs of football cards and putting our teams together because we had nothing else to talk about. And so my father-in-law heard that, and he's like, "Are you into cards?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And then my youngest really got into cards, and my father-in-law gifted us a treasure trove of cards. I had no idea he had all these cards, but he had boxes upon boxes, and it's been a blast going through those. Baseball, basketball, football.
Putting them in the little protective plastic and doing a deal. Yeah.
See, that ran its course when I got like my 8th Jumbo Elliott card. I was just like, oh, God, another Jumbo Elliott.
Jumbo Elliott. He's not very valuable.
No. Oh, man. Yeah, there were some on there like Chris Dolman. Okay, well, he was okay
really?
Back in the day,
Jeez.
but come on.
I don't need 5 of these.
Yeah. Irvin Fryer. No, that's okay. Yeah.
It's all about nowadays. The cool thing about cards, they put numbers on them now, so you can get numbered cards, and they have different iterations. Green ones and yellow ones, and but one of my best cards. I have a Wembanyama rookie to 25. It's numbered to 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, tell me you're one of these guys that goes to the place to buy them, and you're like measuring to see if the thickness.
Oh yeah.
Of the,
well, you've got
so you can get a valuable
good grade.
Yeah.
You got to get that 10, right?
You got to get 10s. 9s and 10s. 10s hold the day.
And even like a brand new card may not even be a 10, just the way it was manufactured.
Correct. Right? It could be off center. Yeah. So you're definitely, there's a lot of luck involved.
So have you ever sent one into the company to get it graded?
I haven't done that yet. I've got a bunch I want to do that too.
That's expensive.
It's expensive, and it's a little uncertain too. I don't like putting my stuff in.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out a better way, but I've got some killer. Over the last 5-6 years, I've just started to collect, and there's been a lot of cool, young guys coming out in every sport, so that's what I'm focusing on.
All right, 1146, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That is Tim LaComb. I'm Scott Garrard on every day from 10 to 2 right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Accessing.
The best radio in Utah is right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Bad Leroy Brown.
Mr. Croce.
Yes. Great song.
I grew up on this stuff. Bad.
Yes, sir. All right, what's the when the Party Hounds get together, it's an eclectic selection of songs, but for the most part, you got it pretty dialed in. What's like the one, like, I did not see that one coming song that sometimes takes people by surprise?
Oh, man. It's a good question. I would say probably some of our softer stuff. We play a bunch of The Cure.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And so some of those, like Love Song, and it's not necessarily we're more of a rocker band, but we play some of that too.
You got to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. And you got to play the hits.
Yeah.
The things that people dig. So we played Mr. Brightside in the last show. That was something that we wanted to do, and everybody kind of drilled it, and we got together. It's fun. It's a fun hobby.
Yeah. It's awesome. And we're going to start sending out some YouTube videos because people need to see the band.
Yeah, for sure.
Party Hounds, by the way, will be there for the BYU Notre Dame game in Provo.
That's right. And we're going to try to do a Friday night show the night before. So 2 shows in 2 nights. So that'll be fun. We'll figure it out.
Hopefully you're going to be out on the plaza for some hockey.
We'll be out there next year.
Yes.
The Jazz playoffs will be – we're going to have 2 sets of playoff plazas next year, guys.
I think you just make a camp out because we're going to have a Jazz game one night, hockey game the next night.
Sleep on the stage.
And just sleep on the stage. Let's go. The atmosphere was so cool, though, by the way. Props to all the Mammoth fans out there. It is a rowdy atmosphere for those games. And when I was leaving the arena to head back for the post-game show after Game 6, and you knew how the game was going, and you knew that it wasn't going to be a win. And at that point, Vegas was up 3-1. So Yamamoto got the goal, got it to 2-1, had it a little bit more life. And then when Vegas just a couple minutes later pushed it back to 3-1, it just felt like it's only a 2-goal deficit, but it felt like a 4 or 5 goal deficit. It just felt like it wasn't going to happen. But the crowd was still there. And when I walked out and saw all the people there on the plaza, and SEG did a great job with the video boards and really and they had a DJ out there as well. I mean, they really set the scene out there in the plaza. Did a tremendous job. And when I walk out there and you kind of knew that the game was over and the series is over and the season was over, and the people were just like, you know what? We don't want it to end. Even though this game's probably not going to go our way, we're still going to milk every second out of it. So fans should be absolutely proud of themselves for what they did this year.
Well, credit to the Mammoth, honestly, for putting together in a short time, in a couple of years, they've got a viable, crazy, into it fan base. It's going to show up and be there. And that's hard to do. We've seen teams come through here, and it takes a while, but this did not take a while. This was instant love right off the plane. People went out to the hangar. You know, it was so cool. But I just envision what that thing's going to feel like walking out one night from a Mammoth playoff game and walking in the next day for a Jazz playoff game. That's what next spring will be like. I'm lock that down. 11:55 on May 4th. May the 4th be with us. That's what's going to happen.
Both teams will still be alive.
You believe that, right?
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Lloyd, are you with me on? Oh yeah, we're all over it. The Mammoth are certainly going to start to climb, and the Jazz, for the first time, in a few years, are going to get to the playoffs, and this place will be rabid.
Okay, all right. Poll question time. I did one earlier today, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. So on May 4th, I'm typing this out on this as I say this out loud. On May 4th, 2027. Wow,
this is like working near Shakespeare over here.
Lottie freaking All right, May 4th, 2027. Will the Utah Jazz and the Utah Mammoth both still be alive in their respective playoffs?
A year from now?
1 year from now. So, choice 1, yes. Choice no. Or choice 2, no. Post. All right, you can follow me on Twitter, at Scotty G Zone, at T LaComb, at Lloyd Cole Zone. All right, Lloyd, you get first vote. May 4th, 2027. Will the Jazz and the Mammoth both still be alive in their respective playoffs?
Yes, I think the Jazz are going to. They're going to be better than a play in game 1. So I think they'll still be alive. And the Mammoth, I'm telling you, that experience they just got was it's like NHL playoff experience on steroids. Those overtime games they had, those close games, like going up against a team like that. I think, yeah. I think they go to the next round.
And even, look, I mean, the way it's set up, it could even be a Game 7 for the Jazz in the first round.
Yep.
I mean, you got to think about this year with the Mammoth. They had a spot. There was a spot in this series where they could have knocked Vegas into a territory that only 10% of teams come back from. When they could have knocked that thing to 3-1. So they were close this year.
And it was there to be had.
It was there to be had. I mean,
that's 52 seconds away.
That's probably the part that probably stings the most for Mammoth fans is like, it was there.
It was there.
It was there.
But sometimes, I'm telling you, when you make those same mistakes, when a team just what was it? What was Utah State's bugaboo this year? The glass offensive rebounds?
Giving up offensive rebounds.
And it's not for lack of trying. It's not for working on. It's some teams just, physically have a hard time.
Yeah.
And for the Mammoth, I do believe the physicality of Vegas just over this series just wore them down.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a point where they broke. You could tell they broke.
Because simple things became not simple, and it's not like these guys aren't great players.
It was that the game four broke them.
Right.
Yeah.
That game, it was a different feeling from that when they lost that one game. Gave up that game, you're like, oh, that was a heartbreaker, but it was like, okay, but I think they actually believed in that.
I did too.
And it was that last game
it was kind of like,
took it.
Maybe.
Yeah, that 3-2. Actually, it was game 5, I guess.
Because Vegas just answered everything. I mean, the way they answered Yamamoto's goal was exactly what they did all series long. Like the Mammoth could not necessarily ever feel comfortable with any kind of momentum.
Yeah. And that's been a bugaboo all season long. Give up, get a goal, and then you give one right back.
Yeah, within 2 minutes, as Jay said.
Yep.
It's happened all year long.
And And there's a point, I got to imagine as a coach too, there's a point in the season where you realize, okay, that's who we are. Like we can't recruit, we can't out-recruit that, we can't develop that throughout the course of the season. You hate to concede it, but it's just like, all right, we're going to have to scheme around this because that's just kind of our MO.
And they schemed. Like their scheme was good, right?
Sure.
It was just, but at the end of the day, it reminds me of, I was at Clune back in the day when Clune was hopping. Like Bizdelik was there, and he had really good players. They won the league, right?
Oh, yeah. 1 year. By the way, it is San Jose thinks that they have a bad crowd now. Like, that's how empty it is at Clune.
Oh, my gosh. And the best part about it is you walk in through Clune, and you're going past like
the hockey
rink and the
track and
field and dodging javelins.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. So it's so different than anything. And then back in the day, that year, like you walk in there and the place was a hive and the football players were right in your grill. So anyway, we were getting beat really, and it made me, you reminded me of that when you said, sometimes it's just who you are. My job at that point, I was a video guy. And so I would come out and get in the circle. I'd have the board for Ray to hand it to him every time. And so he grabs the board from me and he says, you know what I need you to do? Draw me up a player. Not a play, a player. Like I draw a guy up and have him come to life. And that's kind of how you feel sometimes as a coach. Because this, again, the team takes on a DNA. They have a DNA. You've seen it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And every team, like this year's Aggie team, I would say one of the more physical, chippy, India, And so you'd think a team like that can defensive rebound, but sometimes size, being slight, getting pushed around, it's not your best thing. So that was something they encountered all year long. Coach tried to change it, and they did get better, but at the end of the day, it was still a problem.
I mean, that's what cost them a game against Arizona.
Right.
They probably beat Arizona the way that they were handling themselves offensively. They just gave up a lot of extra possession. So, yeah, I mean, that's the hard part. When you get to a point in the year, like, okay, well, that's probably something that's just going to be a theme this year.
Right.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, kicking off your 12 o'clock hour. Next, remember, at 1:05, we'll recap the season and really take a deeper dive in the NHL season with our good friend Cole Bagley. He'll join us coming up at 1:05. MacKenzie Weegar, you referenced this, and I heard it as well. And I thought it was a really fascinating conversation with the guy that had not been with the Mammoth for very long. He was acquired near the trade deadline, and his thoughts on this season with the Mammoth and the future going ahead. We'll hear from him next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb.
Now I know y'all are tripping.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Spending a Monday, kind of putting the finishing touches on the NHL season for the Utah Mammoth. Hell of a year for the Mammoth, taking that step into the playoffs and being ever so close to knocking off Vegas. Had they got that win in Game 5, they would have been up 3-2. Vegas would have been on their heels, and who knows what happens at that point. As you mentioned, 90% chance if you're up 3-2 that you're going to win the series.
And there is some positive, right? SEG can actually, Jim Olsen can actually do his job now without actually somewhat sane timeline.
Yes.
A little bit of a stress-free zone.
And by the way,
I don't know if stress-free, but like, you know what I mean? At least not encumbered by two more weeks.
Somebody posted a picture of like the next morning at the arena, and they already had all the seats covered. Like they were going to town like that next day. They were not wasting any
They
time.
might even started working that night.
Yeah, like,
Because
hey, you gotta go.
The window, like for this project, is like they have to take every opportunity. It's one in the margins.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be 2 crews, one during the day, one at night, and they're going to go nonstop because I mean they are up against it, and that's to do one half of the upper bowl, and then the following year will be the second half, and they want to part of their plans too, as it was explained to me, is that next year they fully anticipate the Jazz and the Mammoth potentially making runs in the playoffs. At least one out of the two.
We just said they were.
Yeah, and so they've actually kind of pushed back a lot of things in late 2027, anticipating that will be a even further pushback because of potential playoff runs next year.
So this summer, obviously, Summer League is not being played in the building. It's at Huntsman. They typically, that building is busy during the summer with concerts and that sort of thing. That's totally shut down. It's going to be just getting ready for next year. And, again, it's going to be – I thought the adjustments and changes this year were great.
Oh, yeah.
It's even going to add more to that.
Sitting in that lower bowl
awesome.
This year as opposed to last
Right.
year. And last year was still great. But this year, just like, oof, okay. All right. I see what we've done here. This is
I
awesome.
understand sightlines now.
Yes, exactly. All right. MacKenzie Weegar with some really good comments. This is from the essentially the post-season interviews, the locker room cleanouts from yesterday. Cole Bagley and the rest of the crew did a tremendous job. A lot of that sound is up in those videos at KSLSports.com. I wanted to focus in on this one because he had some really great comments about this team. Remember, he came in midway through the year on that trade. So he doesn't have a ton of time here in Utah. He doesn't have a ton of time around these teammates. But, boy, he paints a very bright picture for the future going forward.
First arrived, what did you know about this place? And in this short period of time that you got a chance to be here, what did that exceed the expectations of?
To be honest, I didn't really know too much. But everything exceeded expectations for sure. You knew the players, ownership, just the staff. Everything was great, but it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been a lot of fun. The 2.5 months that I've been here, so I'm excited for next season already. Just kind of want to be part of the full journey. It can be a little bit tough coming in, trying to be yourself and whatnot, but when you're part of the full season and going into playoffs next year, just kind of get back to being myself and stuff. But it's been an absolute pleasure playing for this team, and the fans here have been awesome. The city's been great. I got nothing but great things to say.
What did you learn most about this group as they're trying to push and build and continue down this path of momentum?
Yeah, it's a great group. Everybody, I'm sure everybody's been saying it. Like I saw Cools this morning say they're just scratching the surface and whatnot for what this team's capable of doing, and I believe in the same thing. But it just gets harder, for this group. I think we kind of have to understand that. Teams will be more prepared playing us next year, and we've set the expectations really high and the standard really high for this group, and we got to come, ready to go game one next season. But this group's been great, the leadership group. I got nothing but great things to say about Kells and Krauser and Sergey. Everybody's been great, and we obviously some things to learn, to take away from the season and whatnot, but really excited for what this team is going to be capable of doing here in the future. So it's been awesome.
How do you feel like you fit on the ice with this group when you first got here, and then versus when you these last couple of games? In the playoffs?
I think I fit in pretty well. Can add some physicality, I think, for next season, kind of going into the summertime. To be quite honest, I wasn't really happy with my game. Coming from Calgary, it was a bit of a tough season. So I think next season I'll be super motivated to kind of get back to being, myself and moving the puck up to the young skill, the young forwards, and providing a little bit more stability on the back end. But I think my game fits well, with this team. Puck moving defenseman, can play both sides, offense, defense. I've kind of said that I'm a bit of a hybrid back there. I like to do it all, so I think, I'll fit in great next season as well.
You spoke about your play not being up to your standards after coming over to Calgary.
Yeah.
What's something in particular you want to work on for next season?
Well, I was -33, so I definitely want to get better at keeping the puck out of my net. Getting back to being a plus player. I kind of pride myself on that my whole career. That stat, I've always taken pride in being a plus player. So I think just getting back to, playing hard in the D zone, spending less time in the D zone and moving the puck up to the forwards and playing a little bit more offense. But I want to get back to, playing hard, good stick, less turnovers. I think if I go into the summer kind of fixing that, then it'll just get better for this team and playing with Sergei, and it'll be a lot easier for him as well. So I just want to get better in that area.
Are you and your family spending the summer in Salt Lake or somewhere else?
No, I'll go back home to Ottawa. Got a nice little setup out by the water, a little cottage area. So take some time away, just go hang out, enjoy the nature, and enjoy family and friends. My sister's having her first baby, so excited to kind of hang out with her and be around her and, welcome a new baby in November. So it'll be an exciting time.
How would you assess the way that the entire defense played during the playoffs in that series? And was there any areas that you look at and go, this is how we can be better and get over the hump next season?
I thought the decor has been great. If you look at the series, I thought Vegas did a good job at forechecking us, kind of wearing us down. But I think, you look at our decor, there's a lot of depth there, a lot of great players. I've mentioned this before. I think Johnny's one of the more underrated defensemen in the league. But I think it's kind of obvious that the thing that we can improve on for next year and learn is just kind of closing out those games. We obviously had the lead in a lot of the series, so it's just taking that next step and how to, get better holding that lead. Whether it's being a little bit more physical in front of the net, boxing guys out, blocking more shots. I think it's, easy fixes, but you have to kind of go through that experience to learn from it, to fix it. But I thought the decor did a pretty solid job, moving the puck up, playing physical, getting on the score sheet, scoring some timely goals, some big goals for the group. But I really like our back end. I think it's an underrated decor back there.
You spoke very highly of this team when you first arrived, and then you just mentioned that everything has exceeded expectations. How has just your view of the team's potential maybe changed since you arrived?
Yeah, I'm not really, sure. The potential for this group is right now. There's just no reason for us not to think that we can win the cup. The belief. I think the belief for the group at the beginning of the year was to make playoffs, and to kind of see what can happen. I think now I believe that we have the potential to win the cup. I think that's kind of what needs to kind of be the belief now. But it's hard. It's a long road. It's not easy. But we just went to Game 6 with a cup contending team. There's no reason why we couldn't be on the other end, winning in Game 6. We went to overtime with them twice. The series could have easily been us, winning that series. So I just, the standard's obviously high. The expectations are really high. We got to know that it's really hard. Like I said, it's going to be harder next year. Just the teams are going to be way more prepared to play us. But we're going to get better. Everybody's going to take a jump. The young kids are going to get even better. The leadership group's going to get better. The older guys, but the expectation needs to be, to win the cup here. That needs to be the belief, and I believe that the guys in the room believe that as well. It's not just playoffs now; it's to hoist that cup here.
You
you mentioned you want to get to the playoffs every year, but nothing's ever guaranteed.
Yeah.
But you mentioned potential. How have you seen this little taste of a playoff run really drive these guys into the offseason?
Yeah, I think the hunger's there now. The taste is there. We got to see what it's like. We got to see how hard it is, which I think gives the guys motivation to come back, wanting more. I'm going to continue to say it. It's going to be even harder next year, the expectations and whatnot. But nothing, like you said, nothing's guaranteed. You look at Florida, you look at Winnipeg, both teams, President's Trophy, Stanley Cup, they were in playoffs this year. It's hard. Like, every team is right there. The parity in this league is so tight. It comes down every year to the point differential of one team getting in, and there's always a race to the wild card spots, to clinch, the first seeds. It's a tough league. It's hard, but this group, I think, is going to get better. We're not going to go away. That's kind of why I said to move my trade clause, because I believe in this team, and I think we're going to be in the playoffs for years to come here, and there's a lot of good things to come for this group.
I'm curious, obviously you've played for different coaching staffs in your career. How does this one differ from where you came from, and what did you gain from this group to kind of fit in so quickly?
Yeah, that's a good question. All my coaches I've had have been beneficial for my career. I've learned from them all. I had Bear over at Worlds for a little bit there. Having him, I knew what his systems were kind of like and what he likes to do. But I would say the biggest thing, there's a lot of accountability with the coaching staff, and they want you to be great here, but it doesn't come easy. Like, you got to earn every shift. This isn't anything bad, but I don't think I've been benched probably, the last 5 years I got benched here, and it just goes to show you, like, the standards are high, and the expectations are really high here, and I like that. I like feeling uncomfortable. Kind of makes me more comfortable. Makes you want to earn every shift. You come in every morning to get better, and I think they do a great job at setting the standard and showing us what our team's capable of. The video, the X's and O's here are great. Bear sets great meetings. The coaching staff has great meetings. But the off ice, the communication, knowing where you're at, where you stand has been great here. So I've enjoyed playing under Bear. He's been great. The coaches are great. Mara's awesome back there, and it's great to have Bear here. It's awesome.
It seems like, by the way, that was MacKenzie Weegar. Good conversation, and here's a guy that said, yeah, look, Stanley Cup's the goals now. It's not making the playoffs. It's not having a winning record. It's about making deep runs in the playoffs and eventually bringing a Stanley Cup. The way the NHL is set up, honestly, I don't know if it's going to be in the next 2 years, the next 10 years. I have little doubt that the Mammoth are going to win a Stanley Cup.
I agree with you. I think it's more attainable because of the system. The system.
Yeah, the NBA, I can't say that with any amount of certainty with the Jazz that they'll ever win a title. Like, I would hope so. I would love for that to happen. I just can't in any amount of confidence say, yes, in 5 years this could happen, or 10 years. The Jazz are going to need the lottery. And by the way, good vibes coming up for a week from yesterday. That's going to be the draft lottery. If the Jazz are number 1, then I might change my perspective a little bit. If they're number 6 or 7, it's back to the old grind. So, but in the NHL, you locked up your superstars. So Cooley, Gunther, they're all locked down. You've got MacKenzie Weegar, who waived his trade clause to come here because he has so much belief in this team. You've got players that are rallying around this organization. It's becoming a destination location for free agents because they like the way the players are built, or the players are treated, and the facilities that are being built. So they're all in. You can't say that about the NBA, which is why I think the NHL is really going to thrive here.
Yeah, in conversation I had with Ryan before he came on air here, it's one of the things we talked about is the ability to lock guys up like you used to in the NBA. Those Carl and John eras happened because of the way the contracts were structured. and they were able to lock down guys for darn near their whole career. It's way different in the NBA now. You have a 3-4 year window at best, and you really have to rely on making solid draft picks that can come in and contribute at a higher level than just those rookie salary. I mean, that's where you really cheat the system.
Yeah.
If you can pick right, and again, that's asking a lot because very few guys come in and actually make a crazy impact in their rookie season. So, but that is one of the things you take into account. One thing that stands out to me, in other exit interviews I read, guys that have won the cup, Sergachev with 2 cups. And he says, I think we have the right pedigree on this team and the leadership group and the core, the whole team. Starting with our owner and going down, I think everybody wants to win here. So, I mean, I loved hearing that from a guy who's won because he knows what it takes. Another guy, Ian Cole, who won 2. He says, I think we're beyond the point of hey, we're going to try to make the playoffs. No, we need to make the playoffs, put ourselves in a good position to win the Stanley Cup. That being said, there's a lot of things that go into winning the Stanley Cup. And part of it, you got to have good fortune. You got to have good luck. But I do believe the ownership group is solid and has made an impact in trying to lure other guys here. They've done it very, very wisely, but they'll invest the money where they need to. And then I've just been overwhelmingly impressed with Bill Armstrong, his vision, his even keel nature. But looking again, I did a deep dive through the prospects, and there is a sinew that goes through it. Guys that can really skate, guys that can get out and go, and size. In certain instances. So I'm glad they're talking about it because that's the first step's getting to the playoffs and getting a taste. The next step is making that climb.
Yeah. And it feels like we're kind of blowing smoke here a little bit, and we are because of where this institution is and their development. But as you noticed, and probably looking at the media as a coach, the more you accomplish, the more, I don't want to say detractors, but the more you can nitpick because you expect a lot. So I think next year the media is going to treat the Mammoth a little bit different than they have the last 2 years because, okay, now this is not just a playoff team, a team that's expected to go far in the playoffs. That means your fans have a bar that's set. The media has a bar that's set. And if you fall below that, then there's going to be some hard accountability. Which is one of
another quote I use all the time. Hype and expectations have ruined many a show.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just true. So I do believe, I think you're right. I do believe the first 2 years this was so incredible. We have hockey in Utah, but now they've made the mistake of showing the fact that they can compete, and nobody loves to win like Utahns love to win.
Oh, yeah.
And so, there will be some hype and expectations, but that's part of the process, and I guess that's how you sharpen the saw as players. And, just like, Weegar talked about, he's been a plus player. I mean, that's incredible. I looked through his entire career, and he has been a plus player. He entered the league in 2016-17, and he's been a plus player every year but this one.
Wow.
And, it's crazy. Coming to Utah, he was actually a +2 in his time at Utah. It was in Calgary. It was a -33.
Well, there you go.
So he lost a lot of, as he talked about, even when you're great, you lose the momentum of what it feels like to be great. So this offseason, knowing he's going to come back and be on a team that's going to compete to try to go take the next step, that's going to make him even better.
All right. Coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We teased this earlier in the show. We have not had a chance to get back to it, but I want to go back to the NBA playoffs. You pulled some numbers on teams that have come back from 1-3 deficits. Everybody remembers the LeBron James doing it in the finals against the Golden State Warriors. The Jazz gave up one to the Denver Nuggets in the bubble back in 2020. It hasn't happened often, but we saw it happen twice this past weekend. Just how crazy was that, and how impressed was Coach with those performances? We'll talk about it next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, coming up on Thursday, out and about, we'll be in Layton, saving you from yourself because we know who you are. You're one of us because we've done it as well.
You scrubs.
You scrubs, you screw up Mother's Day. You know better. You can't screw up Christmas. You can't screw up Valentine's Day. Definitely don't screw up her birthday. Don't screw up your anniversary. Well, guess what? This was right there with them, Mother's Day. Look, she gave you that 9-pound bundle of joy. You gotta reward her. You gotta be like, all right, let's celebrate you being a mother and taking care of the kids, doing all the stuff that the guys don't want to do or choose not to do, keeping the house running the way that it should because you're a deadbeat. So all you have to do is go to Minky Couture coming up on Thursday or anytime this week. Mention the Zone. They'll give you a 50% off a normal priced blanket using the code ZONE50. So you can go online or you can go to any store and say, hey, Scott and Tim told me I'm a deadbeat, and they said I can fix that if I get a Minky Couture blanket. They'll say, yes, you are correct on all accounts. So here is 50% off. Go pick out a blanket and try to salvage your reputation with your wife.
And a robe or a robe.
Oh, robe, yeah. Robe goes a long way.
I'll be salvaging my reputation.
Are we going to get you one?
I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm stopping by there to get one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, I'm happy to bring you back one, man. Then you don't have to drive.
So you're telling me you don't want me to go out there?
No, I would love you to go out there.
Okay, geez,
see? Gaslight.
That's what he does, yeah.
What I'm going to ask them, who do we meet with up there?
Sandy.
Sandy. I'm going to ask Sandy if she can make me like a suit that I could wear in the studio.
Oh, there you go.
Like
a Minky suit.
Just, shirt, matching blanket pants.
I like it.
I would look like Bigfoot walking through the lobby.
That would be awesome.
Lloyd will take a picture of you out in the parking lot, too.
So there's Minky Man.
Yeah.
Minky Man.
Minky Man.
I think you're onto something there.
I'm going to see if Sandy can do it.
They're all about pushing the envelope. They went to the robe, and now they've gone to the pajamas. And now just like, hey, I just want like something that I can wear to work.
I got a hat from Next Gen the other day. I got a hat from Advanced. So that's another thing I want to wear. All the people that spend their money with us, I want to wear their stuff.
Rock their gear.
Yeah.
By
Since
the way,
we're on stream now.
By the way, we're going to talk a little bit about Advanced. You had the guys come over.
I did.
You're going all in on these guys.
Yeah. Well, if you walked into my house, one of the first things when we went in, we loved everything about it. But the windows, they did the thing they talk about with the heat.
Yeah.
And they've kind of lost the argon gas inside, and so it's a little bit of a sight for sore eyes. But what I did find out too is they're builder grade. This is, they definitely cut corners, which we hear about a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they said, we walked in. They were, first of all, Rob and Jordan came. And
you got both of them.
Yeah,
I
got
both heavy hitters.
Yeah, I mean Jordan I've known as a kid, and so I think he jumped on board. But they did a great job, and we came in and got right to work and went through every window. And the cool part about it, there were a couple windows in there that were in spots, and I was like, let's just replace them all. And like, you know what? If I were you, I wouldn't do that one because it's, it's fine the way it is. So they talked me out of spending money, which was kind of cool.
So they're like, you know what?
That one's fine.
That's fine. Leave it there.
They were just small windows above showers and stuff.
And if they said no, if they would have told you no, you got to replace those, you'd be like, okay, yeah, if you say so. We'll do it. But
no, I told them, I said, let's just, and they're like, no, we don't need to do those. That'll save you, here and there. I was like, I appreciate that. The other thing that I appreciated was they were considerate of my time.
Yeah.
We were to meet at 2:30, so I busted back from, I think we were at Mazda that day. And I got there about 7 minutes to spare. And as I drove past the road to my house, I saw Rob sitting out there waiting for Jordan. And the minute 2:30 hit the door, they knocked on the door. So they were on time. They definitely valued our time, and we went through, showed them everything, sat down, and just like they said, they put a bid together. I was blown away. I thought it was going to be way more, and so we are on the schedule May 7th now to come over and measure everything, but we're replacing 20 windows.
Wow, that's awesome,
and I'm really excited about it.
That's so cool.
So it was a very quick, painless. I guess it's painful in some cases, but in my instance, I knew that needed to be done. I don't like the way they looked, and I'm going to save a ton of money from the sounds of it on energy as well.
Was that a joke right there? Painless.
Oh, geez, Lloyd.
I figured that's what he was going with.
I'm not
it was
that
right
smart.
There.
I'd
it
like
was
to
right
be
there.
That smart. I do like to be a wordsmith, but in this case, I was focused on just telling my story.
I thought it was a great story up
It was
until
great.
one
until
point.
a couple
Well,
of
hey, we get to hear that
interjections.
story again in the 1 o'clock hour. I'm excited.
Have you got the car crash thing yet?
What? No, I don't. Painless was great. I thought it was him.
It was not.
He
It
did
was
it.
you wrecking a beautiful story.
He did it.
And you need the car crash. It needs to be a
find
priority.
It. I'll find it. I'll see it.
All right. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. All right, so we've got a couple of games, a couple of instances where 3-1 meant nothing because you've got Orlando, who was up 3-1 against the Pistons. And we thought, oh, look, the Pistons season's a joke. You know what? All they did in the regular season meant nothing because they're going to get bounced by Orlando. Well, what? Detroit said, no, we won 60 games in the regular season for a reason. We're coming back and we're going to win this series. And they did, essentially blowing out the Magic at home and winning that game and that series 116-94. Cade Cunningham, 32, and dished out 12 assists in that game. Now, that was yesterday. On Saturday, it was Philadelphia, who was down to the Celtics 3-1, like we all expected. We anticipated Boston maybe even probably going to the NBA Finals, representing the East. And they were in cruise control. Then Joel Embiid wakes up. Maxey wakes up. And just like that, Philadelphia ends up getting the win in Boston, knocking off the Celtics 109-100. And now the Celtics season is done. You surprised by either one of these? I'm really surprised by Boston.
I'm surprised by Boston. I felt like when Tatum came back and they started to really gel, that what Jaylen Brown and the rest of the guys had done while he was out was extraordinary. Because I did believe maybe in the beginning that they would tank this season or not necessarily worry about winning. But at the end of the day, they were great. Without him, when he came, it worked. And honestly, the undoing was what everybody said it would be the undoing all year long. And it was their inability to make three-point shots.
Yeah.
I mean, and they take a ton. They shot below 20%, or excuse me, below 30% in three games in the series. And I'm telling you that without that weapon for the way they were structured, they shot them quickly. They shot them often. And it just puts you behind the eight ball. And what Philly was able to do is go down and establish a guy to play through. And Embiid came back, and we were critical of that in the beginning, but it really paid dividends and worked. So the thing that stands out to me, I looked at it last night because we were dealing with all of these 3-1s that had been flipped, that I wanted to look up the numbers. And in the NBA, there was, including this weekend, there are 303 times that a series has gone 3-1. And the team that has been up has won 288 of those times. So just 15 times, and that's counting the ones we watched this weekend, has happened. So not a ton. And interestingly, Major League Baseball, 240 times it's reached 3-1, and 14 times the team with one has come through. The NHL, it's happened 617 times, and the team came back from 3-1 31 of those times. So very rare. And the fact that we stacked a couple of them. The Detroit one, to me, Detroit needed that kick in the butt.
Yeah.
Because I think they started to listen to everybody saying, are they going to be any good in the playoffs? And before they knew it, they were down 3-1. Cade Cunningham said yesterday after the game that they found themselves in the middle of the playoffs. And so that's a dangerous spot for the next group, because I think the physicality, especially now with the Celtics out, Detroit on physicality alone could win the East.
So you've got Detroit, certainly they've found themselves, but are we in a situation now? You ready for some obnoxious fans out there, could the Knicks be coming out of the East?
I'm telling you, I don't know. They just like, I mean, they were at a pivotal point.
Yeah.
They were flirting with maybe getting beat by the Hawks, and they bowed their neck. There's a good chance. I mean, I think it's collision course right now. One team I will tell you that's not going to be there is the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
They approached Game 7 as casual as any team I've ever seen last night. And we're getting, they were getting beat pretty good in the first half, but they righted the ship. I just don't think defensively and physicality, I mean, they needed Jarrett Allen to have a superhuman game.
No, you're not going to be able to count on those games from him. Where he had 22 points and 19 rebounds and 3 block shots.
And Harden had 18 points, and 11 of them came at the line.
Oh, jeez.
And you know what he's doing on the defensive end. I mean, Toronto got back into this series by seeking out guys.
Yeah.
They sought out Donovan, went at him. They sought out Harden, they went at him. When Merrill's out on the floor, he's having to do a good job of covering his own. So that's the way the Raptors went at them. Physically, I just think the Cavaliers at this point are going to be outmatched.
How encouraging is it that Sam Merrill?
Who said that?
It was PK this morning.
Merrill. Sam Merrill.
Merrill.
They must say that in New Jersey, Arizona, California, Utah.
I was like, wait a minute. You mean Bountiful's Sam Merrill? Sam Merrill. But when you look at him, he's turned out to be one of their better perimeter defenders, if not their best perimeter defender.
Yeah, well, because he's in the right spot and he's trying. He's trying. I comically sometimes I watch Donovan in defensive series in pivotal moments, and he's completely turned around. Sam has to kind of be the adult in the room out there on the perimeter, and he's going to get beat his fair share. But I mean, there were times last night where they went at him a couple different times, and he stood his ground.
Yeah.
Was able to get a stop. And that's really all you have to do is stop somebody a time or two, and they're going to go somewhere else.
Well, and that's the thing, too. I mean, obviously it's props to Sam, but also somewhat of an indictment on the rest of the team, too, when he's the best perimeter defender.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Schroeder can jump into the ball when he's in the game. I feel like Max Strus has a physicality to him, but laterally they're just so challenged. Like Harden getting a guy and trying to keep him out of the paint, or Donovan. It's just you're playing a tough game there.
Well, and the fact that they've got to play the Pistons in Game 1, and the Pistons are going to be loving life where they're at right now, but a team that will just punch you in the mouth defensively in Detroit, or at least try to. That doesn't bode well for me if I'm a Cavaliers fan.
Well, they're going to punch you in the mouth defensively, and they're going to do it with more force than Toronto did it because they've got more personnel. And then the second thing they're going to do is they're going to ad nauseum drive you to the paint because that's where they score from. This team is not a big-time three-point shooting team. They'll shoot them when the opportunity arises, but their MO is to take you and put you into the paint and figure out a way to score right over you into the basket.
All right, 12:45. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Cole Bagley is going to join us coming up in about 20 minutes from right now. We'll get his thoughts on the locker room cleanout yesterday, what his impressions were from the coach, as well as the players who addressed the media for one last time this year before everybody goes their separate ways. MacKenzie Weegar sounds like he's got one hell of a place up in Ottawa. Got a place by the lake, nice little cottage, gets away out in nature.
Ken's, if you're out there and you want to, we could host a show from up there on the dock.
I'm sure you got Wi-Fi up there. We can make that work.
We can make that work. I would love to see that beautiful part of the country.
So that's his Cancun, is next to a lake in Ottawa.
And we'll get to Cancun later in the show.
All right, 12:46. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Did you make it through the ska era unscathed?
That's fine. It's upbeat and positive. I like that. And Lloyd, you are crushing it. We got a tweet about it even, but I like the music. He's doing a bang up job.
Absolutely.
Now somehow he's going to say, "Oh, wasn't I before?"
Wasn't I? I don't know what you want from me.
See, that's the thing. You can't even compliment Lloyd because he takes that as a knock.
The one thing I want
what drives me.
The one thing I want to be sure he knows is we appreciate him.
Maybe.
Just here.
No, Lloyd's the best. Just ask him.
When he's asleep.
All right, so you look at the NHL playoffs. I asked this on a poll question earlier. I said, because we've done a ton of market research. I've worked for a few different companies, and all of them, we do a ton of research. Like the reason we talk about what we talk about more often than not is because we do a lot of research about what you as a listener want to hear. The old motto is play the hits. That's what we'll do. We'll play the hits. Whatever's hopping at that moment, we want to talk about. And so we do a lot of market research, and especially here at KSL, they're a big believer in the analytics and really diving down deep and finding out what people want to talk about. And I have seen this as a constant from 20 years ago to today. Salt Lake City in particular, and the Metro is a Jazz town, but it's not necessarily an NBA town, meaning that if the Jazz don't make the playoffs or if the Jazz get bounced from the playoffs, they're on out. People aren't really dialed into the NBA.
And I would say more so now than ever.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, because it's even affecting old guys like me.
Yes.
I'll watch. I like to watch. I like Game 7s, but during the Mammoth run, if there was hockey on and, it impacted the Mammoth, I was going to watch a little of that.
So I asked that question in regards to the NHL. Now that the Mammoth have been eliminated, I asked if you will still be watching the NHL playoffs. And I'm actually a little curious. I was actually surprised by this. So my three options were, yes, I'm all in. Second one was, if it's a Game 7, maybe. And then the third, nah, I'll be back in October. And I actually thought the I'll be back in October would be 60, 65, if not 70%. And it was number one, but only 44%. 30% said, yes, I'm all in, which meaning, hey, it doesn't matter that the Mammoth are out. I'm bummed out about it, but I'm still watching NHL playoff games. And then 25% said, if it's a Game 7, maybe. I thought we would see more of that one than any of it because people would say, like, oh, yeah, I'm still going to pay attention, but I'm not going to be dialed in. I thought that's what would be far and away the leader in this thing. And then, but first off, it's I'll be back in October, 44%, which not surprising. But then 30% of our listening audience on the old X machine said, no, I'm locked in. I'm all about it. So if you've got a fan base that not only loves the Mammoth, but a good chunk of them are also dialed into the NHL, that's a real great way to build your fan base because they're hooked. They're all in now. I mean, they're dialed in, and you've got people that are be like, okay, if it's Carolina and whoever on a Thursday night, I'm still watching all 60 minutes of that thing.
Yeah, that's surprising to me. I thought that number would be higher too. I am the type when I'm involved, and I don't think I would say that the NFL playoffs are different because it's such a cultural thing here, and they're only one game. These series, you got to really commit. You got to commit to watching these things. And so, yeah, I'm surprised. I thought that it would take a little bit longer, but the bottom line is, and you said it yesterday when you walked out of the final game, and just the people that were on the plaza even, this sport has taken root here, and it's in the blood of our people. And we know what happens when that happens. They support it like crazy.
Yeah, they'll take a bullet for you. I mean, honestly, there's a reason why Carlos Boozer never really got a foothold in the community. Darren Williams started to a little bit and then kind of backed off. Darren Williams did an incredible job his first few years, and then that waned near the back end of his time here in Salt Lake City. But there's guys like Jay Crowder, who would never have to buy a meal here in Utah ever again. Makes no sense, but he embraced the community. And they're like, okay, we don't care that you take bad threes all the time. We love you because you love us. Or at least you gave the impression that you love us. Trevor Booker, people love that guy. Guy's a marginal NBA player, but because he was a try-hard guy and busted his butt and said great things about living in Utah, people love that dude. I mean, you go down the list, there's these certain figures that have no business being uber popular here in Utah, but are because they acted like they wanted to be here. They represented well, and they busted their butt on the court. That's all people ask for.
And definitely that last one's really big here. They want guys to bust their butt.
Yeah.
Thurl Bailey is like, it's crazy to me every night, but walking in Delta Center, he's hard to miss. So you see him from a distance, and so you can see him, but everybody else can too. It's crazy how many people go up to him and want to interact and pictures. Every single time, every single one, he takes care of with a smile. But it goes back to how fierce he was and how bad he wanted to win. And he came here at a pivotal time and kind of saw it through. So I'm with you. I think hockey, definitely. These guys, they are now part of our fabric. And the sport is too. So that's exciting to see, and it's got to be really exciting for the guys over there at Southtown.
Yeah.
that have you talk about the community. It's the youth programs are sold out for the foreseeable future, getting in and playing in that facility. So it's going to be interesting to now watch communities start to build rinks and take Ryan at his word and go out there and let's continue to build this hockey community here.
All right, we'll get the finishing thoughts from Cole Bagley, NHL and Mammoth Insider at KSLSports.com. We'll get his thoughts as the season is now wrapped up for the Mammoth, what he learned yesterday at the final media availability for this Mammoth team. Next, this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The best sports radio in Utah is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Am I supposed to know this one? You said it's a viral song right now?
It's big on Instagram right now.
Oh,
There's a movie with Shirley Theron and what is that?
Monster?
No. Anyways, it's a thriller, and he starts dancing like this. I'll send the video to you. You're like,
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hey, by the way, I had to go check and make sure this wasn't an AI. I know we're going to have Cole Bagley here in a second, but Tony Finau is seen working on a putting green with a long putter. Like, Tony, no, don't be that guy.
Just don't. Mike Smith is the forward facing. Have you seen that one?
No.
Where they stand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And use it like a.
When people move to the long putter, I feel like that's when their game is lost.
Like, Tony, don't go, man.
I feel like that's when it's lost.
Said Finau.
I can't find my putting stroke, so I got a long putter.
Finau said he spent 45 minutes getting the upper hand in a position that felt comfortable. Hasn't used a long putter before. Said there's a first time for everything. Wow.
Hey, is that show called Apex? Yeah. I almost watched that. I watched the most disturbing. So I don't know why I've gone down this rabbit hole. We probably have Cole.
No, you got about a minute or so.
Okay. No, I just jumped into I've been studying offshoot cult groups.
Yeah.
And just it's so wild to me to see what people will do.
Like normal, educated, rational people can fall victim to some of the weirdest things.
So if you have HBO Max, I mean, just be ready because you got to be ready for it because it's a little out there. But it's called The Cult of Mother God.
The Cult of Mother God.
Yeah. And it is
sounds like a metal band.
It does actually. But it is, it was, I've watched a ton of them, like, all the Waco stuff, the Jonestown, all that. Yeah. This one, woo.
Really? So
you
even
play that music to it.
It went above and beyond those.
Yes.
Wow. All right. All right, joining us now, he is our NHL Mammoth insider and overall good dude. Cole Bagley, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Cole, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good. Does it feel weird? The season's over. Like you have to reintroduce yourself to the wife and family. Like, what's going through your brain right now? How's life in the Bagley home?
Yeah, it's good. It is a little strange because you go from being at a rink like twice a day, being gone all the time to now. I mean, I don't even know what to do with myself now that there's no Mammoth hockey. And honestly, it's a little bit refreshing. It was a long season, so it's good to have a little bit of time to take a breath.
Cole, what are your general thoughts? I mean, obviously the difficulty of losing a series, nonetheless, definitely a step forward for the Mammoth this year.
Yeah, I think, the manner in which they lost that series is tough. And I know that a lot of fans are disappointed and a lot of the players are disappointed. And there's definitely reason to be. I mean, they were, seconds away from going up 3-1 and then seconds away from going up 3-2 and, just allowed the Knights to hang around, and then experience took over. And so, kind of among other sentiments yesterday, one of the bigger ones was, they knew that they could have won that series, and that's why, they're frustrated, and, there's a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth. But I think if you take a step back, I think this was a really successful season for Utah. The last 5 years have been all about building towards getting to the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, last year they wanted to play meaningful games and they delivered on that. And then this year they promised that they would get to the postseason and they delivered. And so I think, anything above that was just kind of, the cherry on top, right? Like they not only made the playoffs, but they held their own against a formidable experienced opponent who has a really good chance to go to the Western Conference Final. And they gained experience. You in order to learn how to win, you have to lose first. And this is how it goes. This is how it's going to be. I mean, there's going to be more pain involved in future seasons like this, but it's all, in the grand scheme of things, it's going to help them eventually compete for Stanley Cups. And so, yeah, it's an unfortunate way, I think, that the season ended. A lot of those guys expected to at least be playing in a Game 7, and that didn't happen. But like I said, you take a step back, and I think it was really successful, and there's a lot to be excited about and a lot to build on.
Cole Bagley with us here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. So sometimes teams and organizations overreact to certain things that happen. The power play was abysmal in the playoffs for the Mammoth. And so, obviously there's going to be a lot of evaluation of coaches, of players. Do you anticipate that there'll be some changes of some kind, or does everybody just decompress and run it back as much as possible?
No, I think there will be some changes. I don't know what that's going to look like in regards to potential coaching staff changes, but I'm sure that this roster will look quite a bit different when the season starts back up in September, and not because there's necessarily a need to start trading a bunch of guys, but there's about 6 or 7 guys that are coming off the books, pending free agents. And, we'll see what happens. And we were able to talk with all those guys yesterday, and, pretty much all of them except for one were unsure of what the future held for them. And that one being Kyle Yamamoto, who said that, he hopes that, potential extension talks will start soon. He wants to come back here. I think that he is one, of those guys that are becoming free agents. I think that he's one that probably has the best chance to return, just based on, he had a heck of a season. He told us yesterday that he proved this year that he belongs in the NHL, and I'd agree with him. Despite being one of the smaller guys, he has a ton of fight in him. He played really well with Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther. I mean, they were arguably, Utah's best line in the playoffs. And Yamamoto was doing a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the work that kind of goes unseen. But, in terms of the other players, the Alexander Kerfoots and Ian Coles and Nick DeSimones and Kevin Stenlunds, Vitek Vanaceks, I think, Utah's going to have to kind of look at how effective were those players for them in the postseason? How many of those guys does it make sense to bring them back? Because, it's no longer about, just working towards the playoffs. It's no longer about playing meaningful hockey down the stretch. It's about getting to the postseason and building from there. And I think what this first-round series kind of taught Utah was, there's a good core in place, but there's some very specific areas where they're going to need to improve. And so I would expect that, in order to address those areas, that, there's probably a couple of guys that are pending free agents that are not going to be offered contracts because, I just think maybe that not that they're bad players, but they're just not helping Utah in a way that they need to in order to continue to progress.
So I made the joke because my kid wants to buy a Yamamoto jersey. That's his favorite player. And so I told him, like, hey, you got to hold off on that a little bit. And I made that joke with Bill Armstrong. And Bill, he laughed a lot, but you can tell that's not a guy you want to play poker with because he's not about to tip his hand on anything. But look, we are a Kyler Yamamoto fan group on this show. We are the president of his fan club. We need to get him back in Utah. I can't imagine the price tag's that hefty. Do you feel like he is somewhat of a priority for this organization?
Yeah, I do. Like I was talking about, I think there's quite a few of the pending free agents. It feels like they've kind of served their time and served their purpose with this team. And I think if you look at kind of not only the grand body of work over the course of the season, but especially in the playoffs, the one that really stands out to me is Yamamoto. I mean, he has so much fight in him. He battles relentlessly. And I think he led the Utah in hits in one of the games. I think he had like 7, 8, or 9 hits. I want to say it was game 3 or game 4. He was out there. And, as the smallest guy on the ice, it doesn't matter to him. And he just has that relentless, drive. He fears nobody, and he's effective. It's not like he's just, flying around out there doing nothing. He's making plays. He's creating turnovers. He's generating dangerous scoring chances. He's helping develop, I think, a lot of the young guys on the team. So I would anticipate that, there is definitely an interest for this organization to bring him back. And, he told us that, he loves it here. He, really appreciates the organization. He loves the city and he wants to come back. So, if it doesn't happen, I'd be surprised.
Buy the jersey, Scotty.
Nice.
Is what he's saying.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think we can buy it. So of that list of pending free agents, who would you be surprised would be back?
That's a good question. I think I'd be surprised if Vitek Vanacek came back. I just don't think it was a good fit. The goaltender pool of free agents last year was not as deep, and I think Utah's in an interesting situation because they've got their guy for right now, right? They extended Karel Vejmelka for about 5 years. They paid him a lot of money. He's their guy for right now for what they're trying to accomplish. But then they've got this young kid, Michael Rabel, one of their prospects, who is now done with college. He's playing in Tucson. And so Utah's in a situation where they kind of have to continue to buy time because there's a belief that Rabel is the goalie of the future for this organization. And if his timeline hits the way it should, he very well could be the goaltender that helps Utah win a Stanley Cup or at least puts them in situations to win Stanley Cups. And so Utah has to kind of be careful in terms of, they might just have to take it a year at a time. And we might see multiple backup goaltenders. But I just don't know that Vanacek was really what they were looking for. He didn't play a lot of games. There clearly wasn't confidence in him to be able to do that job and to help out Vejmelka. And so I would be surprised if they brought him back. I would assume that they're going to look at the goaltender pool this year and see if there's somebody that will better serve that backup position and help take some of that load off of Vejmelka. And then I look at 2 other players, Ian Cole, phenomenal guy, one of my favorite guys to talk to on the team because he's just a straight shooter and he's a veteran. He sees the game incredibly well. I think he's one of those players that I think should seriously consider coaching whenever his playing career is done because he just sees it so well. The amount of times that I sat down next to him in the locker room and would just kind of pick his brain and talk to him about what he was seeing and what have you. He taught me a lot about the game and just all the extra details. But with that being said, I believe he's 38 going on 39. And again, I kind of just go back to Utah is going into a phase of you need to consistently make the postseason, and not only make the postseason, but win games. And not that Cole, again, he's not a bad player, but it's hard to expect, a veteran of that age to really help push you, where you need to go. I would argue that maybe his role and his time has, potentially expired. And then another guy I look at is Alexander Kerfoot, another, older veteran that I think he's helped, he's just kind of fulfilled his purpose. He played some good hockey, but he's been injured quite a lot. And again, into the playoffs, he just didn't really move the needle. He didn't really do a whole lot to help this team. And as I've said several times, I just think that Utah needs to look at this roster and go, okay, we've got a core that's going to get us to the playoffs. But if we want to go beyond that, we've got to start surrounding them with, the types of players that are going to help push us over the top, that are going to help us be more physical, that are going to help us, play a grittier style game, and then they're going to present us with more size. And so those are probably the three that I would be somewhat surprised if they do bring them back. But time will tell, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, you mentioned Rabel. I watched some of him this weekend, and obviously the thing that stands out is his size. He'd make him the second tallest goalie to play in the NHL. He's 6'6", but definitely moves around well. What is the thought? Is it that Mahiman would come up and back up Veggie, or as you said, do they still want to buy time?
Yeah, goaltenders are just different in terms of timelines when it comes to prospects. I mean, if you're picking a guy who's not a generational talent in the first round, so like a TJ Gimma or Cole Baudouin or Caleb Denoyer, usually even for first-round picks, unless they're the Connor Bedards or the Macklin Celebrinis or the Matthew Schaefers, those guys generally take 2, 3, and even 4 years on the longer end to be ready for the National Hockey League. Whereas goaltenders, you're lucky if you can get them at 4 or 5 years. It's generally a 5, 6, and even 7-year process, because goaltending, there's such a serious jump from juniors to, some of these guys go and play college to, the AHL or the ECHL, and then, of course, to the National Hockey League. Now, there are exceptions, but, Michael Rabel, I think he's getting close. Obviously, he has just finished college. He was absolutely phenomenal for, his college club, and he's another Czech goaltender. Utah loves their Czech goaltenders, and he was just absolutely unbelievable at the World Juniors 2 years in a row for his country. Like you said, I mean, he's a big guy. He covers a lot of net, but I think what really makes him an elite prospect is, he combines his size with just unbelievable athleticism. I mean, he's a big guy who can move very quickly. He covers so much of his crease and so much of his net, very, very well, very fast. He's really tough to beat. And so for Utah, now that he's signed with Tucson, I would imagine that they want to see how he can do with a full year in the AHL under his belt. Now, if he goes into the AHL and suddenly, he's above 900 save percentage and is allowing less than 2.5 goals per night, Utah might look at that and go, okay, let's give him a shot. Let's see what he can do at the National Hockey League level. But I would anticipate that, we'll see Rabel probably play the majority of the year, if not the entire season in Tucson, unless he just forces his way onto the team. That's the only way I could see him coming up a year from now. So I think that's why they'll need to look at the free agent pool and see if there's another goaltender that they can just kind of bring in as a one-year rental until, they know where Rabel sits and when he's ready.
So everybody said the right things yesterday, but where's the organization with JJ Peterka? Where's he at with them? Is this something that they can overcome, or just how difficult is this situation?
It's a tough one. It's you look at that trade, and of course, I think every GM in the league would have taken that deal. And it's funny because the deal was more so centered around Kesselring for Peterka, and then Josh Stone was just kind of a sweetener, just kind of all right, you want an extra guy, we'll give you Josh Stone to kind of put this deal over the top, and you get two solid players while we get what appears to be an elite up and coming player. I mean, he had 68 points for Buffalo last season, and then I don't even think he surpassed 40, and then he was just kind of a ghost in the playoffs. And I think for Peterka, it's entirely salvageable. I mean, it was his first year with a new organization, a different style of offense, different players, lots of speed. And I think if you look at it, he just never really found his role. He bounced around the lines a lot. He went from, there was so much hope and anticipation for him to play with Gunther and Cooley, and it just didn't really turn out. And then, they tried him on the third line. I think he even tried to play on the top line for a couple of games. And then it was down to the fourth, and then back to the second, and then the third. And then, to drop to the fourth line in the playoffs and to get benched, that's tough. That kind of just goes to show that there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect in terms of, what the coaches expect him to be capable of. There's a disconnect in terms of, what he feels capable of. I'm sure it rattled his confidence to go from, feeling on top of the world, getting traded to a team, that you feel like you can make an impact, and, they sign you to a decent extension, making a good amount of money every year. They need to figure this out. I think it's okay that it kind of went the way that it did in year one, but if they can't figure things out relatively quickly stepping into year two, then there's going to need to be some accountability. There's going to need to be some serious talks because, Peterka is seen as a big part of this team's future. I mean, he's 23, he'll be turning 24. He's one of the brightest, young German players in the league, and expectations are for him to be in the top six. So, everybody has a down year. If you looked at last season, Lawson Krause had a horrible year, but then he came back and, he put in the work, and he was arguably one of Utah's best players, not only in the regular season, but he was arguably their best player in the playoffs. So it's entirely salvageable, but it's going to take the right mindset and the right conversations to happen in order for him to bounce back.
For those of us stuck in NBA lingo, and those numbers are exorbitant compared to the NBA or to the NHL, but the Mammoth with roughly, about $16 million in cap space going into the offseason, just how significant of a number is that compared to other teams around the league?
Yeah, it's a good amount. It's not the most money in the league, but it's probably it puts Utah in a better situation, I would say, than probably most teams. It just depends on what they want to do with it. That could get you, another top six kind of guy, or that could get you a handful of depth pieces. It just depends on what the Mammoth feel like they need to do. And it's also going to be interesting because, does Utah, Bill has been known to make most of his big trades in the summer. And there's going to be some interesting sweepstakes, I think, in terms of players who, suddenly become available. There are some teams out there that probably need to start thinking about blowing up their main core or retooling or, starting from scratch. And there's some good players that could, suddenly come on the trade block. Guys like Austin Matthews and Brady Tkachuk. And it'll be interesting to see, what Tampa Bay does. And, the Toronto Maple Leafs as a whole, it's a disaster situation in Toronto. And, I think if Toronto was smart, they probably would put all of their top players up for sale, and that includes, William Nylander and Matthew Nyes and John Tavares. There's always, plenty of guys that become available that you didn't know were even, on the trade block. So, for Utah, they have a good amount of money. They can go out and try to buy, or, they have the ability to, maybe take on some bigger contracts. But, I've said this multiple times, over the last couple of weeks is, I think Bill is stepping into the most challenging part of the rebuild because, he's already the organization already, sold off all their best players 5 years ago, and they invested in young guys and young prospects like, Keller and Schmaltz. Now those guys are grown up, and, they hit on some draft picks like, Cooley and Gunther, and I think TJ Ginla's going to be a special player, and they've got a couple other top first round picks, Michael Rabel, like we were talking about. But it becomes difficult because you obviously have a very strong core. This is a very good team that could make that could create some serious problems for teams around the league, and maybe 3-4 years from now they could be one of the dominant teams in the Western Conference. But as Bill steps into this summer and next summer and even the following, I think it's a challenge because he has to, these next moves are going to be critical ones. These are going to be the moves that set you up to be successful. And as Utah found out, they have potential, but they're still pretty far away from contending. And so, how does he approach that? Does he look for size? Does he look for more experience? Does he, stick to younger type players like Peterkas, or does he look more for, additional Nate Schmitz or Mikhail Sergachev? I think that's what's going to make this difficult, but they have the money to go and do, pretty much not anything they want to do, but a good amount.
Before I let you go, I asked Greg Wyshynski this earlier in the show. I want to get your thoughts just from an NHL standpoint. Do you think if they make it to their respective championship or win their respective conferences, Carolina can hang with Colorado in a 7-game series?
For the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah.
I would favor Colorado, but I think Carolina could make it interesting. I wouldn't expect a sweep by any means, but it wouldn't shock me if Colorado, won in 5 or 6. But it's, it's hockey. It's the National Hockey League. Crazy things happen all the time. Underdogs somehow, are able to upset juggernauts almost every single year, right? I mean, who expected the Ducks to beat the Oilers in the first round? So, I would, like I said, I'd favor Colorado, but, you never know in the National Hockey League, and it wouldn't shock me if Carolina was able to hold their own.
I know that if the best player in the NBA talked like Connor McDavid did yesterday, that would be headline news across all of sports. Just how off the rails are things in Edmonton right now?
I think they're starting to teeter into some dangerous territory. It's almost like in NBA terms, that would be like you had Steph Curry and LeBron James on the same team and they lost in the first round. Like prime, not like today.
Yeah.
Like 6 years ago, LeBron joins the Warriors, or those two guys are on the same teams, and they just can't get over the hump. And this year, when you look at it, I'm honestly not shocked that it happened. Now that you start to consider everything that went into that, I mean, McDavid said that he had like a fracture in his leg or in his foot, and so that totally eliminated his speed, which is what makes him, such a dangerous player. He's played two straight seasons going to the Stanley Cup final, going to a Game 6 and a Game 7, playing for gold at the Olympics, playing at the Four Nations. I mean, this guy has played a ton of hockey at the highest level and just continuously come up short. So it's maybe not as shocking as it first was, but Edmonton needs to figure it out. The fact that both of those guys are saying that they took significant steps back and that Draisaitl was like, look, McDavid signed on for 2 more years, and we don't have that much time to figure it out. And so for Edmonton, they need to take a serious look in the mirror this offseason, figure out what the problems are, which I honestly think it just comes down to a little bit of forward depth and terrible goaltending. I mean, terrible goaltending. So if they can make those proper adjustments, the others can be back at the top very quickly. But if not, I would be shocked if McDavid plays in Edmonton more than 1 year, if they don't at least make it back, maybe even to the Stanley Cup final. Yeah, I just think he's one of the best players, if not the most skilled player to ever play this game. And the fact that they're just wasting his prime years, he's got to be frustrated with that.
Cole, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for your help, and let's talk again here soon.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, Cole.
There he is, Cole Bagley, Mammoth Insider for KSLSports.com. All right, we're going to spin the wheel. Sports Roulette coming up next right here on The Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
This is Sports Roulette on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It is time for another edition of Sports Roulette. Some of the bigger headlines we have not had a chance to get to. We even have 4 hours, and we still don't get to everything. So
Crazy how that works.
I know. It's awesome. So with that, Lloyd, fired up. Let's get to it.
Bananas for everyone.
Bananas for everyone. Have you watched these games before?
I have watched them on television. I understand they were here last year.
Yep, and they will be here again this year.
Crazy entertaining. But 102,000 in College Station to see the Savannah Bananas. This guy started it as just a concept in his garage, and he wears the yellow suit and a top hat. But this thing's got legs, man.
They are a huge attraction wherever they go. 102,000 people crammed into that stadium. I was there last year, by the way. Beautiful stadium. Oof. Incredible.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's like there's some stadiums out there like Tennessee's football stadium. It's massive. It looks like a bad home renovation project when they're like, okay, this add-on came in the 90s. Then they did this one. That was back in the 80s. And it just looks like a really bad project. The two stadiums that felt like cathedrals, like just college football cathedrals, Nebraska and Texas A&M.
Did you like when they swayed?
Yeah.
And it looks like the whole stadium's going to tip over.
Yeah, that place is fun.
So years ago when I was in college, a couple of buddies and I would go every year to a different big game, or try to. And one of the years we went and watched Notre Dame at A&M.
Oof.
And it was incredible. We had great seats. But that's when I'd heard about it and seen it on television. But they do a phenomenal job of supporting those Aggies.
And the way that stadium's built, I mean, it's just so vertical.
Yeah, you're looking straight down.
Yeesh. You get sick up there on that upper deck.
Aggies got rolled pretty good there.
Yeah.
But got a good paycheck.
Texas A&M's a pretty good team. So the Savannah Bananas, 102,000. They will be at America First Field coming up later on in the summer. Maybe we'll find a way to get some tickets for that one. All right, Lloyd, spin it.
Ladies' Day at the Kentucky Derby.
They come to the last 16th of a mile. Janon Bourbon in front. Shelling a huge long shot. Renegade and Golden Tempo are closing too. Here's Golden Tempo. Golden Tempo.
Golden Tempo ends up winning. Did we have one of those?
We did not. That was not one of ours.
We mentioned it. I remember that name coming up.
I had the longest odds, which was like 14-1, I think.
What did you go for? You went for...
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
There was somebody that was 14-1. It wasn't that one. That one was 23-1.
That's right. And the first woman to train a Derby horse won. And she just started in 2018. And she has had a horse actually win the Breeders' Cup in 24. But this is a significant milestone in her career, but also as a role model for all the female trainers out there.
Cherie DeVoe, again, first woman trainer to win the Kentucky Derby. And it was cool. They had a camera spotlight on her, She went
nuts.
She went deservedly so.
Rightfully so.
By the way, Kentucky Derby averaged 19.6 million viewers, the most ever on record watching a Kentucky Derby since Nielsen began tracking audiences back in 1988. They've never pulled a number that high, which blows me away because I've never really cared.
It was one to watch.
More people have access to financial interests now.
Yeah, okay.
So everybody a $20 bet, somebody's got to watch it to see what happens.
Everybody's betting the ponies. Yeah, that's why
they're betting everything apparently.
Oh boy. All right, spin it.
Welcome to Toronto, mother.
Yeah, I think you can make me nervous there for a second. Toronto Maple Leafs, they trying to regroup. They missed their first postseason in a decade. So the front office getting shifted around, and new general manager, John Shaika. Now, he's got some ties here with the Utah Mammoth in regards to he was the general manager of the Arizona squad before he was sent packing and our guy took over. So, and he had a lot of issues. He'd been suspended. He lost some draft picks for having combines when he wasn't supposed to. So he's had some issues and had a bit of a reputation around the NHL. And this is his first general manager job since 2020. And as he was introduced at a press conference today, so he's at the podium with the president of the organization. His name is Matt Sundin and Keith Pelly. So Keith Pelly is the CEO of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's the one at the press conference. His brand new general manager, John Shaika, to his right. And this is a question that gets asked by the Toronto media.
Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun, for Keith. You talk about the due diligence that you did on John prior to hiring him and now hiring him. In the past, say, 3 to 4 days, I have been in contact with about 20 people who work in the National Hockey League, many of whom are prominent names that we would all know. And of the 20 people I spoke to, one was supportive of John's hiring, and the other 19 thought it was a sham, to be perfectly honest. Words were used like con artist, liar, salesman. How did you come to a different conclusion that I was able to come to in a very short time?
I must have talked to different people.
That's it? Because I'm telling you, the hockey world today is astounded by this announcement.
Okay.
And your response to that?
Is we've conducted due diligence, and it was deep due diligence. It was a thorough process, and I'm quite happy with where we've landed.
So, yeah, welcome to Toronto. Imagine being at a press conference. It's a big day in your life. You finally get back into the big seat as a general manager. All right, usually these are, touchy-feely, feel-good press conferences. Like, hey, everybody thinks your guy's a sham. He's a con artist. He's a salesman.
He's like, I'm right here.
It's like, hey, guys, I'm here. Can we do this when I'm not here by chance?
It reminds me of a story from my youth. I was put in a position of leadership in a small group of young men on a Sundays. I had a leadership position, and so they come in to give you that authority, I guess, in the class, and so they do a sustaining and say, "Hey, is everybody good with this?" And a dude in the back raised his hand. And he said, "I don't, because Tim swears. He swears a lot." And he outed me right there in front of everybody.
Like, bro, what are you doing to me here?
Yeah, so that's kind of what that's like.
Oh, man, that got uncomfortable
I feel
fast.
really bad. Con artist.
Salesman, sham. Everybody says it's a sham. I talked to 20 people.
Well, I must have talked to different people. That was a good answer, and he kept it, and he stuck to it. He'll do his guns. It didn't talk him out of it.
No. All right, one more. Lloyd, spin it.
Stowaway spotted.
All right. This was uncomfortable. Speaking of uncomfortable, so
friendly fire
inside the NBA, when somebody gets bounced from the playoffs, they do a gone fishing. They put a graphic together We've seen it for decades now. They do a tremendous job, and it's a weird graphic with all different kinds of references to people from the town. And so they did a Gone Fishing with the Celtics, and they had, figures like Ben Affleck was on it. Matt Damon was on this boat fishing. They also had, Bill Simmons. They had a bunch of other people that associated with the Celtics besides the players and coaches. And then on the front, in a front of the boat, in a Titanic pose, was none other than Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. And
too soon?
Maybe, yeah. And honestly, when you get...
It's current news.
When you get Charles Barkley to clam up, like he wanted no part of it. Ernie definitely didn't want any part of it. Now, remember, these are all part of the ESPN family, too. And so it just seemed like everybody's like, okay, let's who are those two? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
Awkward, very awkward.
Even they wanted no part of it. So somebody back in the graphics department was having himself a day, and he might get a little bit of a talking to later.
Near, far.
Oh, man. Did you even enjoy that? Did you like that movie?
Didn't see it.
Good for you. Good for you. You didn't have, you and Rachel were probably married at that point.
Oh, yeah, we were married.
Yeah.
I told you, fellas, I'm not a big movie dude.
Yeah.
Just not.
You like the documentaries.
I love documentaries about weird subjects. I love history and crime and, just what makes people tick.
Yeah. One thing that I think when our wives got together and started talking, they are very dialed into the same shows.
Yes, they are. And again, the beautiful part is they did most of the talking.
Yes. We were on the outside looking in on that thing.
We just got to eat our wonderful meal.
Just had our tacos and our burritos.
You went with the El Paso.
El Paso.
Right.
Can't go wrong with that. Add the shrimp to it, too. If you go to El Matador, add the shrimp to the...
Gots to.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap up this bad boy next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do-or-die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1-, 3-, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
The biggest name. You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard, the coach, Tim LaComb, Jake and Ben coming up next. Fun show today. Good stuff. A lot of hockey, putting a nice tidy bow on the Mammoth season.
And like anything, emotions are tough, but when you get away from it, you see the growth. And as everybody talked about today, that we talked about with hockey, that this was the plan. Bill talked about this was the playoff year. So everything now, they've tasted it, and it's onward, and it's upward, and hopefully more trips and further into the playoffs until we can get that cup.
All right. So real quick, we try to end the show with Tim giving you a little bit of his expertise. You got Game 1, 76ers at the Knicks. Knicks rolling this one after Philadelphia spent everything to win that series?
Yes, the Knicks will win. I don't know about roll, but they'll win.
Jalen Brunson's on a heater, man.
I just like Tyrone Maxey so much. I really do. He's one of my favorite dudes to watch.
Averaging on the season 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. That's a hell of a line right there.
And then he plays with a guy who's one of my least favorite guys to watch, in Embiid.
Although, dude played well.
No, he played well, but I'm with Jaylen Brown on that piece. He is a flopping dude.
So you got the Knicks 7.5-point favorites tonight. San Antonio a 9.5-point favorite as Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves, coming off their round one victory, will head to San Antonio. So I'm assuming you'll take San Antonio. Do you take San Antonio minus the 9.5?
Ant's in tonight, I heard.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know what? I'm not going to put it past Minnesota to really challenge San Antonio tonight. So I think that Minnesota will cover that number. However, I do believe San Antonio will win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Although I will say the Knicks will cover the 7.5. I think the Knicks.
They will.
I think the
They'll
Knicks are
cover
going to
that.
just dump trucks.
You think they'll dump truck them?
Yeah. I think that's one where they're like, all right, hey, look what we did. And the Knicks are just sitting back and waiting and waiting. As obnoxious as a lot of members of their media are, and nationally, I think we might need to be concerned about a Knicks representation in the NBA Finals.
Well, the Boston ruined that's who Jake and I thought it was going to be all year, especially they played so well without Tatum, and then he came back and they did, but their bugaboo was the three-point shot, just too many of them. When they obviously could have driven the ball and gotten fouled. That's kind of how the Cavs won yesterday.
It just feels like when that's your identity, taking a lot of threes when it goes dry on you, especially in a pivotal game, lights out. Carolina already up 1-0 against the Flyers. Game 2 of that series coming up tonight. And then the Ducks. All right, so are Mammoth fans, are they going to be rooting for the Golden Knights to go far because you want the team that you lost to win and win at a high level? Or do you want them to flame out and you want the Ducks to just beat the crap out of them?
There's a LaComb on the Ducks, so I have to be loyal to the family.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I watched them shake hands in the line and there wasn't a lot of love lost there. Certainly respect, but not a lot of love. So, no, man, Vegas can go do what Vegas needs to do, but I'm with the Ducks, the mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Those orange jerseys are disgusting.
They are weird. They are very weird.
Yeah, got to end.
They went with just the bill of the duck.
Jake's with us. Hi, Jake. You sit in here. You're going on the air, big fella.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'll go on the air. I like crosstalk.
You getting used to the whole 4 hours afternoon thing?
Oh yeah, no problem. It's it used to be home when the kids got home from school. Now it's a little different.
Yeah,
a little more flexible in the morning time.
Yeah, you used to have to do it, but then carrying Gordon around too.
Oh yeah, I did that for a while. I don't know about carrying Gordon. Nobody
puts baby in a corner.
Gordon carried me around for sure.
Nobody puts Gordon in a corner.
I heard Gordon on the radio last week. It was awesome. He was on with PK.
Yeah, I love Gordo.
Yeah, the best. All right, you got a busy show, I'm sure.
Yeah, you guys talked a lot of hockey. I'm sure we'll dive into that as well. Play some of that locker room clean out sound. Locker room clean out is so weird because the game just ended, like the playoffs just ended, and then you have availability the next day, which I love. But it turns the page all of a sudden to, I heard you guys played MacKenzie Weegar's, and it was great. But he's like, yeah, the future's awesome, and this is awesome. And it's like, you just got drubbed. You got drubbed.
like minutes ago.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I love Jake.
I do love locker room clean out. Do you remember when we got, speaking of renovations, we had, I think you were there, Scotty. I'm trying to remember who was on. I certainly was. It might have been me and Tony. I don't remember. Gordon Hayward on for his last interview.
Yeah.
His last interview in Utah.
And he was so ticked off to do it, too.
Yeah, he was totally put out. And 4 minutes into it, 3 minutes into it, somebody hit something over with the reno. And remember, the internet dropped in the whole building. And all of a sudden, bam, poof, off the air. And Gordon Hayward was like, well, that's it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not waiting around for you guys. Bam. And he was gone.
He was gone from the studio and the state.
Yep. Never to return.
No. So locker room clean out is an interesting situation. I wish it was more formal with the Jazz. I know ship has probably sailed, but
isn't it how Stockton retired that day? Didn't he walk out of locker room clean out and say,
well, back then it was just you waited outside of a locker room. Like there was no podium, there was none of that. Like everybody was around the
It
Jerry.
was after the game. You said it.
No, it was the next day.
Okay.
And the team would get together, and some rookie would go have to buy Crown Burgers, and then as they would leave, we would all be by the Jerry Sloan garbage can and just stick a mic in front. And that was the first time I ever did any coverage. It was obviously that 03 season, and I was standing next to David James, not knowing anything of what I was doing. And DJ's like, just put a mic up there. I'll take care of everything else. And Stockton came out and goes, it's been a rough day. And I think DJ goes, why was it hard? He goes, I just told everybody I'm retiring. And everybody's like, oh. And then he just went out the back door, and that was it. No press conference, nothing. And then Carl was all ticked off because John stole his thunder, so he had to throw himself a party and go to L.A.
And Carl's retirement press conference I'll never forget, ever. It was very long.
Yes.
There were a lot of tears. Threats were made randomly, which was kind of out of the blue. He had seen the X-Men movie, obviously, right before the press conference because he was shouting out the Wolverine and all this stuff. It was wild. I love going back to the old days with Scotty because we used to have to roll live time into the system to make cuts.
Yes.
And I still to this day remember making I gotta go back and roll this in, and then I gotta somehow find cuts out of this rambling, tear-filled
Wolverine.
He says he's like, if you mess with my family, you'll get the Wolverine. We're like, who are you talking about messing with your family?
We're just trying to pay you your due.
Oh man, that was some weird times, man.
Step back.
And then you hope your batteries didn't die on your mini disc machine. Yeah. All right, that wraps it up for us. Jake and Ben coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.